I am totally muted. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. Barbados, where it is today. We had a lot of rain because we had a little system coming our way in Barbados, and I'm sorry I was speaking all this time and did not have we did not have sound. So my sincere apologies about that. But I just want to say to you tonight that we are coming to you with a very, very somber heart tonight. We are happy. We are happy for life. We're happy that in Barbados we did not have any loss of lives. We had our fishing industry, which seems to have been devastated by Beryl, but we have our lives, we have our homes. We just had a few roofs of houses that were blown off, but generally we are back to normal. Most people have water again, and most people have electricity again. But throughout the Caribbean region, what is happening is that majority of homes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, all those Grenadine islands, and in Grenada and in Carriacou, and there in and now in Jamaica, and all of these islands along that chain. A lot of those islands are. A lot of the people are without their homes tonight. A lot of people lost their roof. They have lost their belongings. It's out on the street, and there's water. All their belongings, all of their possessions are tonight soaked and out there in the street. And this is what is happening to us here in the Caribbean, to our Caribbean brothers and sisters. And tonight we want to show solidarity. Tonight we're going to talk about those issues that are plaguing us as a region, and to look to see what can we do to better our conditions and how we can work together as one unit. Okay. All right. So but before we do that, we're going to have our brother from Kenya, Pibgin Odimwengu, will be with us from Kenya tonight, and he's going to give us an update because our solidarity is not just with us in the region, but it's throughout Africa and the Africa diaspora. We're coming together, we're joining together, heart and soul. Okay. So that is what is happening. All right. So let me just take the opportunity to welcome those who have joined us. Mystic Angel, good evening. Hi, Queen Bee, good evening. Bajan Boy, good evening. Vernon Garnes, good evening. Abe Mill, good evening. Good evening, Nigel Carrington, Marcia, good evening. We are alive and we are in our own homes. We have electricity. We have water. But we are remembering tonight, Michael, those within the other Caribbean islands who are not so lucky tonight. And our hearts and minds are with them. Those who are looking through the window and they're seeing, at the moment, they're seeing Jefferson, the activity that is happening through Beryl. Right now, people in Jamaica, they are seeing the activity on the outside. They're seeing the rain. They're seeing the wind. They're seeing their neighbors' roofs flying off. They're seeing all of these things that are happening. And so a lot of people are anxious tonight in the Caribbean. We want to know what has happened to our loved ones. And, Marie Watson, Melissa Howard. Yes. We fixed that. Thanks you to everybody. We fixed that. Yes, we fixed that. We were going for a while without any sound. But we thank God that is fixed. And we are all ready to go. Adrian Worrell, Flo Joe, and we're going to ask you all, everybody, please, to share the live. I'm asking you to share. I'm asking you to like, and I'm asking you to subscribe. There's some of you who have subscribed before, and what we're realizing that for some reason, YouTube is removing the subscription of some of our viewers. We found that out. People in Jamaica, they've contacted me, and when I started to check with others in Barbados, they realized that their subscription was removed. I'm not sure what is going on there. Seems like people are trying to deplatform me, but I'm going to ask you, and I wonder why. I'm going to ask you to go ahead to like, right? And you're going to share and you're going to subscribe. Check your subscription. Check your subscription, right? So we are here. We are here. Remeem, everybody, we are here. Loyal opposition, we are all here. And of course, hi, good night, Edwin and Sandra and Wendy Ford Griffith and everybody who's on the Costa Fields. Good night. Emerson Bob, good night. We lost a little time there with the lack of sound, so I would not be able to mention everybody. But we appreciate you, and we're happy that you're there on the other line. You're there, and once we have life, we have hope. You're right, Caribbean, and we're going to band together tonight. We're going to seek to raise, not financial assistance, but we're going to see whatever we can send in kind on that boat that is leaving tomorrow. You're going to hear more about that, but we're going to, right here on the show, we're going to try to see what kind of supplies we can raise for those who are not in the best of positions because of Beryl in the Caribbean. Okay, all right, so let's go to our national anthem, and this is what guides us. This is what guides us. This is why we come on the show. This is why we're logged on, because of this, our theme song. Yes, opposition. And so that's what we're going to do right now, the national anthem. That is it. That's our theme song. That is what keeps us going. That is where we get that injection of patriotism. It comes from that beautiful anthem. And we are going to live out that anthem tonight, not just for us in Barbados, but we're going to stretch that love and that unity, that strength and unity. And we're going to stretch it throughout the Caribbean region, because there's a reason why we are here in our homes with electricity and, with water, with running water, so that we can help the rest of the Caribbean region. Don't you think so? Correct. That's why we're here. And we have waiting right there in our green room is Mr. Pibgin Odimwengu. Good night, Pidgin Odimwengu, all the way from Kenya. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning from over here.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. And we have to remind our viewers that it is actually a little after 2 o'clock. There, 2 a.m. And we are always grateful of the fact for the fact that you stayed up for that long to make sure that we can get an update on this side of the region of what is happening there in Kenya. Welcome, 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 sir.
Thank you very much. Permit me to start by expressing my deep and sorrow feeling for our brothers who, unfortunately, nature is becoming cruel on them after struggling much and going through this forcefully as they were being taken away from our mother continent. It's so sad that they experienced this, and we want to appease the spirit of our ancestors to provide them with proper protection. It's not their wish, neither is there their choice for them to be where they are. It is by divine strategy of those who are against us and those who wanted to separate us. But at this particular moment, I also want to call for solidarity from across the mother continent and all the black people and black nation, wherever they are, that this is the time we should not, or this is the time that we should be sending solidarity through support to our Caribbean brothers. If it was like in Kenya, will challenge the president, his feeling and love for maybe the people of Haiti to an extent of sending security should be extended also to the Caribbean to send true support, food, and anything necessary. So that all the Africans, wherever they are in the continent, should try to write to their government requesting that they send a solidarity support to our brothers in the Caribbean. We know and they must know that these are our brothers. The support to them is not support anywhere else. If we stand in solidarity with Israel and Palestine, we must stand in solidarity with our brothers in the Caribbean. And to the whole global diaspora is my wish that the little you have and you've been blessed with, don't forget about the people of your own roots, the people, your brothers and sisters. And it's not about, in our traditions, it's not about capital money. It's about the little we can give in kind. It's items. If we can give clothing, if we can give food, if we can give shelter, please let's find a way to stand together with our brothers and sisters. Sorry for what you're going through, sister. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pidgin. And that's a wonderful way to start off the program. And Pidgin is there in Kenya and appealing to, its African brothers and sisters in the same way that you can support Israel and Africa can support Palestine, and Africa, Kenya could send troops to Haiti. You could send some aid to us here. We are your brothers and sisters here, and we love that. We love that. Now, what is happening in Kenya? I see where your President Ruto, is saying that he's now willing to actually enter the X space, the Twitter space, and have that conversation with the Gen Z population of Kenya, and that he's willing to work things out somewhat. He says he will look at some of the demands, etc. What is happening? Can you take some time and bring us up to speed?
Yeah, as you said, sister, that's what's happening. The president is trying to tone down a bit, trying to be polite a bit, pretending to be giving in a bit. And basically, like today in the morning in my diary, I was, of course, I woke up doing my research on Pan Africanism and the work, then went to the office of the former president to deliver the letter. The office of the former president is next to actually the office of the president.
Hmm.
I was taking a letter of solidarity from Pan Africans to question and ask what's going on in Congo, as the former president is the East African community lead person, the Congo resolution, peace resolution. I found a lot of police vehicles around the town and
Yes.
around the house. Many roads were blocked towards the state house. And what's happening is that this president is is afraid of the attack by the people, so he's still maintaining police officers who are protecting him. The politicians are being beaten and punished in the country by the citizens. They're being chased away from the barrios. Some are being beaten literally by the people, those who
Mm.
voted to support the bill. The Senate, which is which is another part of the parliament because we're having bicameral parliament, is in a regret mood. And yesterday, it was announced that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission is increasing the salaries of the politician. And for the first time, the politicians have objected that salary in fear of the
Wow.
unions will be beating them. So they're saying they don't want the
Hold a
money.
minute. Oh my Lord, I have to stop you. Yes, power to the Gen Zs. Did you all hear that? Did you all hear that, guys? I hope you are sharing and you are liking and you're subscribing. Did you hear what Pigeon just said? He said that for the first time, the salary increases that were proposed to politicians, they are rejecting them because of these Gen Zs. They are watching them like a hawk. Isn't that is success? Go ahead, Pigeon. Oh my Lord, man.
Yeah, it's a big success because many people are saying, why are you increasing salaries when the Gen Zs are on us? You want us to be beaten again or face the wrath of this young man? And one of the leader of minority in the Senate is asking that in fact he realized that he has been allocated almost 300,000 Kenya shillings per month to
Yes.
use at the expressway, which is more of like a paid way. And he's asking, why give me all that amount of money, which I cannot even exhaust in a year? You give it on a monthly basis. Why don't you? I saw so many politicians saying, instead of giving us money, why don't you direct it to doctors and teachers and employ them? So it's for the first time the country is having a conscious debate with the political class, and one of the leader of majority who represent them actually claim and even gave a comment that this government should go through a total overhaul. These are the people who are representing the government in the Senate as a Senate of the government from the government side, explaining how he came through poverty line and how he's requesting that the government should actually disband the cabinet and listen to the people. And so
Mm,
many politicians from the government has actually now come out strongly. I think they've also loosened their fear and now they are coming out strongly to speak because now they know they're defended by the Gen Zs if they speak, and if they'll be touched, probably the Gen Zs will support them. If they don't do what the Gen Zs want, the Gen Zs will go after them. And so that's what's going on. And there's also still they're saying the young men who are still wanted for having participated in the protest.
yes. Yes. In the meantime, guys, I'm going to ask you to continue to like and share. I think what Pigeon is saying to us this evening is groundbreaking. Simply groundbreaking. Here you have young people who decided to care about their country and to be, knowledgeable of what is happening in their country. They protested, and we're now seeing the responses of the politicians in the country, where they are now refusing a pay raise. They are now saying, why are you giving us all this money? Let's put it into education. Let's put it into healthcare. And that is phenomenal. And that's our young people leading the way in Kenya. Back to you, Pigeon.
Yes, we are also witnessing a situation whereby the government is still looking for the young men and women who broke into the parliament. Today they were listed in a gazette as most wanted people.
Mm,
So the government is still trying to pursue those young men who went to broke into the parliaments. But we are also seeing a situation whereby the churches have now torn the line. They don't invite any politician anymore. And one of the politicians whose club was actually attacked by the citizens has said that he's looking forward to retire from politics so that he only concentrates in his business because he's afraid of the damages now the politics has caused him. One member of parliament was beaten today on a burial, beaten thoroughly by people on a burial until he ran away. And we are seeing now the church do not allow any more politicians in their space. But unfortunately, we've also seen, like in the last Thursday protest, this it is yesterday protest, Tuesday, we saw the government now trying also to actually infiltrate the protest by now hiring goons who get into the protest and loot shops and businesses properly.
Oh,
And
wow.
this has been seen and been realized that is the hand of the government. The
Mm,
government has found that the only way they can actually infiltrate the protest to make it now be negative protest is by trying to infiltrate and maybe hire some young men and women to
mhm,
cover in inside the protest and just go out and loot properties from various people so that you can then make the protest be more of a goon thing.
mhm,
It's a looting thing. And from where we are sitting, it's possible that now the protest might not go on actively, but the process of keeping leaders accountable will still continue because
mhm,
now the government want to destroy the property of the people through the people they hire just to ensure that the protest is actually marked negatively. But
mhm,
the young people have also gone an extra mile to ensure that they have created an application. It's called an app, online application,
mhm.
where they've listed the information of all elected leaders and they give you an opportunity to sign to recall them there. So they say if you want to recall them, you just sign there and the signatures are tabulating so that you can actually recall your member of parliament.
Oh, so
And
you're saying that the Gen Z, they have created an online app that Kenyans would be able to access and to register the politicians, the members of parliament that they want to recall. Is that
yeah,
what you're saying?
in that application link is called recall.ke.
Oh.
Recall.ke. If you go to recall.ke, you'll find list of all the politicians who are elected in this government. And you
Mm-hmm.
have the ability to start the recall process from there to collect signatures in your area so that they've done it electronically. So they don't want to waste time to go in the grounds. It's very possible to you to collect it online so that you can start the process of recall.
What?
They've also created something like an application to track the promises of this government and they have looked at the promises. They have tracked 416 promises that President Ruto has made in less than 2 years. 416 promises. And they have been able to indicate whether they are started, complete, abandoned,
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled, or in progress. And they have even added the link to Twitter where the president claimed the promise. So even the day he said the promise, on
Mm-hmm.
the link where the promise was said and the status of that promise, whether it is in progress, fulfilled, or not started. So I did a research a bit out of the 416 promises and realized that 73% of those promises have not been started. Only 4% of those promises have been fulfilled, 1% has been abandoned, and 11% are in progress. So it tells you that this
Wow.
government in the last 2 years has only achieved 4% of what they are promised. So all that is there and it is listed. The Gen Zs have actually created all that information available. So we are moving
Wow.
also to hold other leaders accountable alongside the national government, the county government, the elected members of parliament. They want them to start accounting for the CDF, which is the Constituency Development Fund that they're getting. They want the governors to account for the money they've been getting to their counties. So it's the start of an accountability process as we move almost as we are heading to move out of active street protest back to accountability process to each and every leader. So that's where,
You
and
know,
that's what's happening.
I'm sitting here and I'm just saying, sometimes we want to give up on our young people, and we think that they are not listening. We think that they're not as focused as they are. We say they're always on their phones, their heads. We say, Pidgin, as parents, say, take your head out the phone. But look at what is happening. They are using the devices. They have now created an app, people, to track the progress of promises made by politicians. They're going to know whether it's completed, if it's in progress, or it's abandoned. And they can tell you what percentage is completed. Can you imagine that? They have now an app where they can allow the citizens of Kenya to go into that app and they could register their whether they want to recall. a member of parliament. I mean, this is so creative. This is, I mean, I am in total respect of these young people. They have now caused those politicians to say, we don't want a raise because the Gen Zs are watching. They know where we live. They know everything. They know all about it. They're gonna track us. And they don't want to take a raise. They said that put the money in healthcare, put the money put it back in education. The churches are saying, don't to the politicians, don't come to our churches to make speeches and to sway the country with religion. The pastors and the leaders are saying, don't come. Isn't that amazing? I just had to stop and summarize that, Pigeon, because that is amazing. I want to say to the Gen Zs, I want to give them a hand clap here from Barbados and the Caribbean. We say to you, Kenyans, oh, we are very, very, very proud of what you're doing. Continue, Pigeon. I had to do that.
Yeah, so basically, as I'd said before, many politicians have come out to apologize. Some even are apologizing on behalf of the government, those who support the government side. Some are even
Mm-hmm,
now overcome their fear to call out their government directly without fear, telling the
mm-hmm,
government on how they feel or lie to the people. Some are out there trying to plead to be in good terms with the people. The president was interviewed, I think it was 2 days ago, and basically spoke what people call total nonsense. In fact, he appeared not to be understanding what's going on in the country, and people decided
yeah.
to say that our president actually suffers mental problem and we need to check on him because he was asked some question like there's one of the presenter who asked him one question that Mr. President, why do you continue lying to the people? And he pulled up one of the promises the president did on a video. Then the president
Mm-hmm,
said, don't be selective in what you pick to ask me. Just be objective enough. But they said, this is you promising some 2 months ago. When you came to power, you went to the parliament to tell the parliamentarians that you don't feel that the government should run a budget that is beyond its expenses, and you wanted to cut that budget, but then it was 2.9 trillion. You wanted to cut it by 300 billion. Just an
mm-hmm.
year later, for you to increase the budget to be 1 trillion. What happened, Mr. President? He was unable to give an answer to that. So even the media actually exposed him enough in an interview that he had, and he was not able to retract or either to find any way forward. So basically, we are seeing a country that's now running back to its right mode, where people now respect the citizens, where the churches respect the citizens, the politicians now respect the citizens, and the citizens have said that they will continue to hold their sovereign power directly to deal with anybody in that government. They will not delegate that power anymore. And I think they are working on, which I know there's an organization trying to work on drafting an online signature, an online oath of pledge, where the members of parliament and members of county assembly will be forced to sign that pledge online that they will stand by the people moving forward, and those who will fail to do that will be greeted. In Kenya, they are using the word greeting as a way of reaching out to you and beating you to ensure that you do what is supposed to be done. So they
They
say
will
we'll
be
be,
greeted.
greeting you. So that is the development that's going on in Kenya.
They will be greeted. So this is an online pledge now that
That's what
you are seeking for the politicians to sign this online pledge of what they decide to do, so that the whole world can see it and to keep them accountable. And that is that you are setting an example, I believe, for the rest of us. Of what can happen. We now have to see whether the politicians in Kenya are going to actually do as they say they're going to do, because now that they're scared of Gen Z, they will say all kinds of things. But I'm going to see. Well, I see you sent us here the tracker, the Kenya Kwanzaa promises that I've sent to our technical person. It's in the WhatsApp, and I'm going to see if he can put it up on the screen, so that the rest of the Caribbean can see this very innovative way of keeping our politicians in Kenya accountable. I think it is quite innovative. Well, I know we don't have a whole lot of time tonight, but I wanted to continue, just continue to let us know some of the other things that you're doing.
Yeah, so basically, now you said at the start that the president has accepted to come online to speak to the people on Twitter Space. Because you see, this he had called for a physical setup with the youths. He was forming a commission to ensure that the young people can have a space to talk. The young people told him that we don't have time to sit down, and you don't need your resources to sit down and start spending your resources. We are calling you to come online where you can find us, and we'll give you what you want. So he has promised to meet the people to, I think it's Thursday, which is to me is today, which we are looking for if the president will be hosted on a Twitter space where the young people will actually speak to him directly without forming those commissions and whatever he wants, because the young people believe that they should address him directly. But there's still a push for him to go home, and they have given us in fact the demands by the Gen Zs has been supported by the politicians even from his government. Those including cutting down the cabinet, removing the office of a first lady and the rest. So we are looking forward if he will come to Twitter space and actually accept to remove the office of his wife, and those are the offices that are unconstitutional and taking a lot of our money. So that is what you're looking forward to tomorrow. Even though there was a protest lineup tomorrow, we think that it might be diverted because now we don't want to give the government's goons or people want to take advantage of protests to continue looting resources of innocent Kenyans and their businesses.
Yes. Wow. Well, as Mr. Nigel Newton is saying here, Mr. Pigeon, the Gen Zs have re-engaged traditional African constitutional law and African democracy by taking control of governance. African democracy vested absolute power in the people. Do you agree with that, Mr. Pigeon?
Yeah, I agree with that because our constitution says that the people may delegate the power. The word is may in our constitution, which means it's not a must that the people elected assume our absolute power. We might only delegate it. But now the people have gone back to pick the power because they've realized they're not being represented. So they are dealing with everybody. They'll deal with the president the way they have done with the president. They're dealing with the politicians who have gone wrong. They're dealing with the churches who are going wrong. And they'll deal with everybody who is trying to go contrary to what they believe is right as a nation. They're even dealing with police officers who have been attempting to shoot people in the street, and I think they have a list of some people who we are looking for to be brought to justice or to books of justice. We will either take them to courts ourselves as the citizens, or we'll start petitions to actually have them do what is right. So yes, it is true that we know we have realized our power. We've come back to pick our power because it has not served us for the last many years.
Yeah. Pigeon, I thank you so much for being on here with us tonight. And I know that this is inspiring a lot of us. For those of you who are listening, one of the things that we have pushed on this show is the fact that we are the opposition, the 260,000 of us. We are the opposition. Tonight, we're going to see Mr. Ralph Thorne on the leader of the opposition. But before Mr. Thorne crossed the floor, it was us, the 260,000 of us, and it's still us. It's still us because we only have one member of the opposition, one member, Pigeon, in the opposition. Try to imagine that. And so we have been calling on the people of Barbados to become that opposition, to become that voice of opposition. And I'm hoping that a lot of us are taking courage from what the Gen Zs are doing in Kenya. And you see how they are being successful. They have been consistent, they have been strategic, they've operated with a lot of ingenuity, a lot of innovation in what they're doing, a lot of courage. Some have lost their lives, and they are seeing the result of their courage of standing up, recognizing, Pigeon, that they are the true opposition in the country. That's what is happening. And so we are very, very happy to have you tonight on, for, just giving us that courage. And we have on the screen the promise tracker. This is what he was talking to us about. Okay, the promise tracker is here. It is on our screen. Okay, so this is what Pidgin was talking to us about, where the Pidgin, just walk us through quickly, just take a few minutes, 2 minutes,
Okay,
to walk us through what we're seeing on the screen.
okay. On the first column is the date the promise was made.
Yes.
The second column is the promise. What was the promise about? If you click there, it can take you to a whole page of the promise that was shared.
Mm-hmm.
On the aspect is the people, whoever in the government who gave the promise. So it's the president or a minister within the government. Then there's a success rate of the promise, whether it's ongoing, it's not been started, what is all about, the deadline that it was supposed to take. Then there's a status, whether it's started, not started, fulfilled. And then there's a link where the promise was made. So if it was made on a Twitter, you can click there, it takes you back to the day that promise was made.
Mm-hmm.
So all these, they have included 416 promises that they have been tracking. So if you go through the list, you can be able to come up with a summary of how many promises have been fulfilled or not fulfilled. And I did that summary and I came out with 73% of the promise has not been started. That's basically what the information is all about.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful. This is so creative, guys, and they have used all of their technical skills. They've used the computer, they've used everything they understand about data, about social media, and they've put it together, and they are warring with it. They are warring with it. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Pigeon, for being here with us tonight. And I don't know if there's anything extra that you want to say to us before you go.
I will say to you that, as I'd said before, is that as much as we inspire each other, we must also stand by each other. We
Hmm.
must stand in solidarity with each other and support each other. So my plea is that let the whole continental globe stand with Caribbean. It's the time they need the Caribbean most. The Caribbean inspired the revolution in the continent, and it's time the continent should give back to Caribbean by helping them. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Pigeon, for being with us here tonight, and we wish you all the best. And as soon as you have anything else to tell us, you just got to tap me on the shoulder, and we are going to come right on. You are a regular with us right now. We want to be able to continue to have that update with you from Kenya. Thank you so very much. Okay. God
Thank
bless
you.
you. Wow, that was really, really creative. What do you all think of what Pigeon was saying to us tonight? The way that they are keeping their politicians accountable. Those Gen Zs in Kenya, they understand their role as citizens. They understand that they are the ones who put their politicians, their MPs in government. And so they are holding them accountable, transparency, accountability, and they're making sure that it's done. And we're seeing the politicians, they are responding to that, because they are saying to the Gen Zs, we don't want a raise. We don't want a raise. They have been offered a raise, and they don't even want it, because they know that they are being held accountable by the Gen Zs. They want the raise to be used to hospital renovations and all of that, and they want the raise to be used uh, to rebuild education, within their countries. I think that is awesome. The churches are saying to the politicians, please hold off a minute, don't come back right now, because our churches are not being used in the right way. You are using our churches, and you're using religion to to promote a lot of what the wrongs that you're doing. So please don't come to our churches right now. And they have created, I told you, the online app about, of how you could register if you want to recall or register that NP that you want to recall. And there'll be a certain number of votes, and then I guess it will go to the right person so that they will be able to know that, and those the powers that be will know that the citizens would like a particular MP to be recalled. And then they talk about the online pledges that they're requiring for their politicians to sign of what their promises are. They will track they will track the promises, whether to see if they're completed, if they're making progress, or if they're abandoned. Yes, and I think that that's quite innovative. Marilyn is saying, "I love it. That is wonderful." Yes, the Gen Zs have demonstrated the duty of responsible citizenship. And that's what I want to say to us Barbadians and those who are watching throughout the region. You never let anybody says that you're just being a troublemaker and you just want to make trouble. Huh? No, 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 no. You're being a responsible citizen. When you ask questions, when you ask for accountability, when you ask for transparency, you're being a responsible citizen. You're not making trouble. Yeah? You're not making trouble. You're doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah? You're doing what you're supposed. Anika says, Barbadians, what are you waiting for? Thumbs up, Kenya. Some of you are, we allow Emerson every time we ask the Prime Minister questions. People are going to say, oh, you hate the Prime Minister because you ask the Prime Minister questions. What is that? What is that? When they come around here and they ask me for vote, what is that? They come to my home and they knock on my door and they ask me for my vote. And so I should be able to ask questions, and so that's what this is all about. Yeah, this is what it's all about. Hurricane says the people in Barbados also delegated power to the elected government leaders. Now they mistakenly think they are a power unto themselves, and they think that they're power unto themselves because we have made them believe that. It's simple. You see what is happening, how the Gen Zs are causing the politicians to walk back and go back to the Constitution and go back to how Kenya is supposed to operate. They're causing them to do that. The people, and it's the young people from 11 years and older, 11 to 19 years old. Think about that. Yeah. So they are thinking that they're a power unto themselves because we have made them believe that they're a power unto themselves. Yes? Right. Well, tonight we're going to switch gears now, and we're going to be talking about Beryl. And what I want us to do, folks, I want you to like and share. I could tell that they're doing everything that they can to put us all the way down in terms of the algorithm. But I'm asking you to do something special for us tonight. I'm going to ask you to share. I'm going to ask you to like. I'm going to ask you to check to make sure your subscription is still there. Yes? Make sure that the subscription is still there. So, but I want you to do that. We're going to have Honorable Major Clair Leacock is going to join us in about 2 minutes or less. I see he's on, and I know it's a big sacrifice. So for him to be on, I want to make sure I use up his Wi-Fi enough. But I'm going to ask you to share, guys. I believe that that we can do better. We could get some more likes on this tonight. Let me also just apologize to you for Caswell Franklin. He's not able to join us tonight, and so he's taking a little rest. And we will see him at a later time. We say to you, rest up, Caswell, and we're looking forward to We're looking forward to you joining us a little later in the week. Glenn Murray is not on tonight because of Beryl. He wasn't able to do his he normally does his presentations, but he wasn't able to prepare tonight because of not having electricity and so on. All right. And I'm not sure if Kimar will be on. When I messaged tonight, was only one tick. I don't know who has electricity and who is able to come on to tonight. But we are watching and we're seeing what is happening in the Caribbean islands, and we are here in Barbados. We experienced Beryl as well, but luckily for us, we are of the kind of devastation that we've had is within our fishing industry, and I know a lot of them are very, very sad tonight. But we have some people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are really, really, really suffering tonight because they don't have anywhere to live. Yes. Beryl, there are thousands of Grenadines who took refuge in emergency shelters as Hurricane Beryl, the first major storm of the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, passed through Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Okay. And so we're seeing a whole lot of things that's happening there. We've had some fatalities, and we have the Honorable Major Clair Leacock, and he's here, as I said, to speak to us about that. Welcome, Major Clair. It is a privilege to have you join us this evening.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So from here on, it's Major. We leave off the honorary, we leave off the Sinclair because Major is the brand.
Major,
Now,
okay, well,
Major is the brand.
Major. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
yes, go ahead. You go right ahead.
Now to do this program, and I hope we are successful with it. As I suspected, I would not have been able to do it from my home because I have no electricity, no internet service. So I'm repeating my experience from earlier this evening when I left home, and maybe 200 yards down the road from my home, I suddenly had service on my telephone. And it says working again here tonight. Now, what my neighbors are doing, because they are without electricity as well, and that
Yes.
I'm not doing, I'm not so sure. But whatever it is, it's working. So I'm parked. I've pulled aside in the road to be able to do this program for 10 minutes or like that because I have service. So
Yeah.
I've turned on all the lights in my vehicle, um, so that I can do this program. So I hope we have enough good enough audio, and we also have good
Yes,
enough
we can hear
lighting for
you.
the
We
program.
can hear you, and we appreciate the sacrifice that you are
Yes.
making tonight. Can you tell us what is the current situation there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
Well, to begin with, as many of us know, we are Saint Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yes.
Those precious islands called the Grenadines,
Mm-hmm.
as is Carriacou as well. From the Grenada end.
Yes.
I highlight that because clearly the direction of the burial has impacted the Grenadines more than mainland St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Yes.
And on mainland St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's more concentrated in the southern part of the country. So the parts of St. Vincent that has been devastated by the hurricane are, to begin with, Union Island,
Yes.
where official figures say that about 90% of the people lost their homes. This
Wow.
morning, the official from Nemo was saying that it's close to 98%. And that's a population of about 2,500 in that country, in that island, that geography. Let me get this
Wow.
right. Which means that virtually everyone there is affected one way and or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no electricity, little or no telephone. The water has always been a challenge, even in the best of times.
Yes.
And there's a food supplies problem. Um,
Yes.
to the credit of the government, they have responded positively and have sent supplies to the Grenadine Islands And they've also bolstered up the security service to make sure that people doesn't take advantage of the situation at this given time.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding that it is almost as bad in the Myro and Kano one, which are two other island masses there, pretty close to Union Island. So they are much more affected than we are on mainland St. Vincent. Not that we are not affected on mainland, but we are
Yes.
we're making the contrast. Because I came back this evening from my constituency of Central Kingstown, one of the 3 Kingstown constituencies. And there's a particular community in Central Kingston referred to as Redemption Shops.
Yes.
I believe over 200 households they have lost their house roofs. Now,
That this is
I was
on the
pretty happy this evening.
mainland in Central Kingston, in the mainland.
On the mainland, yes. But we have lost a lot of house roofs on mainland service. In fact, at my very home, I lost some roofing as well. And there are many other communities that have lost house roofs and of the sort. Communities like Green Hill, Lago Heights, in Camden Park, in West Kingstown, in Otley Hall, several villages in the Kingstowns, East, West, and Central Kingstowns, have lost roofs and have had damage of one kind or the other. But I say nothing compares to what is reported in the Grenadines. The government has been indicating through its National Emergency Management Organization that it will lend a helping hand to those who have been affected. Understandably, the concentration is still on the Grenadines Islands. I've seen a number of people who received tarpaulin and other promises of assistance.
Yes.
We have to hope and cross our fingers that this is not a time for partisan politics and that people will get the assistance on merit and not on political allegiances. I'm highlighting that because we have had a bad history. On all previous occasions in which we have had disasters, storms, volcanic eruption, and now a hurricane, we have found that distribution of assistance has been very partisan. That does not augur well for the actions that are necessary at this time and the healing that is necessary.
Yes.
So this has to be a broad appeal for us to lift our game and make a calculated decision that we are not going to look to seek political advantage. And that has to be so on both sides of the fence. The government has resources that obviously comes with when you are in government. The opposition, yes, may be seeking to get into government, but they also have to understand that we have to understand that we have to reduce our immediate partisan interests and give way for the national interest. Now, to do that, there must be a meeting of minds and across the board. And I'll tell you some things that doesn't help. The Prime Minister has been in Union Island yesterday.
Yeah.
Other officials from his party have been in Union Island as well.
Yes.
I've listened to him on radio, and he's given an indication of others who will go to Union Island. What I have not heard is that he took the very first opportunity that he had to invite the leader of the opposition to accompany him to Union Island, so that we had a national approach to the matter. These are opportunities where we step up.
Yeah, so this is a time of solidarity. You're saying, come together.
It must be a time of solidarity.
Yeah, so they could have toured Union Island together. They could have gone there together with
both government and opposition. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. And that is going to be necessary from here on, because when we are also approaching regional and or international aid agencies or even domestic agencies, I think they will be encouraged when they see that there's unison in the approach to recovery. And I'm therefore making that appeal at this stage that we put Vincent's interests first ahead of political parties' interests.
Yes.
And I say that as a representative of a political party. and of a constituency.
Yes, yes, and
Now,
yeah,
now we're going to need a lot of many things. We're going to need clearly a lot of roofing materials, galvanized.
mm-hmm.
I'm aware that there has been assistance offered by the National Emergency Relief Organization here of tarpaulin, but that takes you thus far. You need to have, for want of a better word, brigades of artisans across the board trying to put back roofs that can go back, or put back roofs that has to be replaced, so that people feel there's a sense of permanence and security in what they have. I think it's an opportunity as well for us to encourage volunteerism. Yes, there's always the profit motive, but you have to demonstrate that you're prepared to help yourself as well, and not simply wait there with a hand out and hoping that that help will come. But I'm not seeing enough of that at the moment. What I'm seeing though is that people are taking initiative, and that's helpful. That's encouraging. You know, uh, the water supply has been good, but large portion of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, perhaps more than 60%, close to 70%, 75%, are up to this time without electricity. Now, it's only when you don't have it you understand and feel the importance of it. And so people are beginning to feel uncomfortable and uneasy. You know, as a politician, sometimes when I go to one of my communities, I would see people buy the candles to take them through the night. Now I'm living that. I'm my third night now through candles. And tonight I was reprimanded in the very home that I'm in, saying, look, why are you burning 3 candles? We don't know how long this is going to last. And they're in short supply already, you know. So you realize already everything has to be managed, you know. But we have to make those adjustments. There's therefore a palpable state of discomfort and unease among broad sections of Vincent society, but we have always been a resilient people.
Yes,
We've had lots of experience with storms before. We have had 2 volcanic eruptions. May I say that I was an officer in charge of first volcanic eruption many moons ago, so as not to give away my age. But I also am one who holds a diploma in civil defense. So these are matters for which I have some understanding and appreciation and practice. In fact, I've been a
yes,
commander of 2 military or paramilitary units in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I've been a commandant of the cadets, that's where the major comes from. And I've been the commanding officer of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Auxiliary Police Force. So I speak with a fair degree of practice in
yes,
disaster management issues. And one has to wish the agency that is managing this exercise well. The government has called upon the regional security services rightly for assistance, and I think a number of policemen are coming in from the regional security system. I think about 20 of them or so are going to go to Union Island.
mm-hmm.
I don't think it's enough. I figure we probably need the assistance from Trinidad, Barbados, or even Jamaica, although Jamaica's going to have its own trouble in hand now, of maybe
Yes,
a platoon of the soldiers to help us to mount tents, deal with certain sets of logistics, help us paramilitaries to provide relief for the police forces, help with many other aspects that occurs when you have a
yes,
disaster exercise. And I believe that they are well placed with their military training to do that. So I would think that I would like to see that happening maybe, and it's happened during COVID, and it can happen again. Maybe detachments in the Barbados Defense Force, the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, Defense Force, assist our local policemen in getting the logistics. And it will also become important as we begin to get relief supplies as well, because these
yes,
things have to be offloaded from vehicles, loaded onto trucks, offloaded from trucks, taken to storage situations, redistributed to various centers. I think some 2,000 people or so are in shelters at the moment. That's a fairly large number. Um, and they have to be fed and taken care of, and supplies have to be carried in, and security has to be provided. especially when those facilities don't have, as best as I do, generator supplied electricity. So it must be very
Yes.
uncomfortable in those circumstances. Um, Today was a challenging day for St. Vincent and the Grenadines because I think we had rainfall for much of the day. And some people may say that we have probably had more rain in this tropical wave that came across than we had in the hurricane itself because blew the winds blew the rain away in the hurricane. So
Yes.
there was a lot of rain now, which makes that our soil very susceptible to landslides. And
Yeah. Slippage. Yes.
that is always an imminent threat in on mainland St. Vincent, especially for people in the mountainsides, danger for people who live in around riverbanks, and it's always the marginalized people who are in these situations. And so we have to be swift at hand in arresting those possibilities by constant media attention, promotions, education, evangelization, reaching out, not with a big stick, but cajoling and encouraging people to do the right things, you know.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
believe that it's a time when civil society also has a role to play in what is taking place in this recovery exercise.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, I hear the appeal, and I was just on my phone here trying to find out from Trinidad exactly what they're doing. I've been speaking with Senator Nakid from Trinidad, and he's an oppositional senator. He told me that they definitely there are plans that are being made, and so he's waiting for it to be crystallized on exactly how they're going to help the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, some those in Carriacou, though in Jamaica, and throughout the region that have been affected. I know that here in Barbados, we have some civilians that are working together to make this happen. On our screen right now, there is a hurricane relief drive that is being implemented here. And it says, Help Union Island. In response to this crisis, the team at Executive Air is calling on our community to come together and provide much needed support. Relief efforts are being organized to collect donations that will be sent to those in need. Every little bit helps and will go a long way in providing relief to those who have lost so much. And it says act now. And they're collecting food, they're collecting clothes, personal hygiene, emergency supplies. And they actually have a location, and I'm trying to be able to see it here to read it. Somehow I'm not, let me see if I can make it large enough so that we can all see where we're to drop off the reliefs, the supplies, where they have to be dropped off. And I'm trying to see it on here, but it's been covered, so I'm not able to see exactly where it is to be dropped off. But I'm gonna try to get that for you tonight before. Okay, I think I'm seeing it now. Yes, items should be dropped off at the church office Friday, the 5th of July, where they will be consolidated and delivered to Executive Air. And did they say the name of the church is a Harvest Bible Chapel, Barbados in Goodland Road. Harvest Bible Chapel in Goodland Road. So that's where you drop off food, clothes, personal hygiene, emergency supplies. Harvest Bible Chapel in Goodland Road, that is in St. Michael. And you're doing that on Friday. So you have tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday to get the supplies of food, clothes, personal hygiene items, emergency supplies. And by emergency supplies, they're talking about candles, flashlights, batteries, tarps, tents, shopping, sleeping bags or mats. Okay, that's what they are, what they're looking for. This list is not. We don't know.
Don't forget things like Pampers, you know, sanitary napkins, some supplies for people hypertensives, the diabetics. All those things become very useful in these circumstances because you find always among the marginalized and the aged in those situations that people don't think about those sensitive areas of assistance, but it's very often it's critical, or as important as the food supplies.
Yes, very, very much
Yeah.
so. Thank you. So they're asking.
And I would also strongly suggest nothing's wrong with the church distribution, but the Salvation Army has been reputable in the past. The Red Cross are always very steady and available, and there may be other Christian Council or the church groups. I prefer that we avoid as far as possible that it gets in the hands of either of the political parties, either,
Right.
and get into neutral grounds.
So I agree with you because I remember when we were helping with the relief supplies for the volcano, and there was a lot of complaints there that some people were not getting it. So it's better sometimes it goes to the churches so that they can get it to the people, is what Major is saying to
Yeah,
us this evening. And personal hygiene items, soap, toothbrushes and toothpaste, feminine hygiene products, adult and baby diapers, towels
that's
and
right.
washcloths, deodorant. Yes, go ahead.
Mattresses, mattresses is another other useful,
Oh,
or
mattresses.
foam. Yeah,
Yes,
because I had that request just this evening, because some of these houses that lost roofs, lost everything after that, and they're water soaked in many instances. And when people have to vacate their homes, sometimes they can stay at relatives and friends, but 1 day is fine, 2 days is fine, a week is fine. When it gets to third, fourth weeks, people want their own spaces and people begin to feel the inconveniences, and you got to move on. So,
yes, yes. I'm asking everybody to share this live. Share the live, please. And what I'm going to ask you, and like as well. What I'm going to ask you as well is, I want you to start to put in the comment section. And this is not to show off. Some people say, well, I don't want people don't have to know what I'm giving, but it's encouraging. We have with us here the Honorable Major St. Clair Leacock. He doesn't want me to say all of that, but he is a member of Parliament and he's here. And we want to say, as Barbadians, what is it that you are going to take to this? What kind of relief supplies are you going to donate? Can you put it in the comment section? And so let me go through some of the areas again, the categories. We have food. They need water. They need canned goods, rice, baby formula, cereal and granola, crackers and biscuits, instant oatmeal, nuts. As I'm calling out the things and you feel like you can donate those things, write it in the comment section and just to encourage us. And we say, well, this is what we're doing. What about clothes? Clothes, but let it be new, please, or don't be or almost new. Don't send what, just take up your old clothes and send, please. They need
if you're not
t-shirts.
going to wear it, don't send it. If you yourself not going to wear the particular set of garment, then don't send it.
Yes, if you're not going to wear that garment, don't send the garment. So we're looking for t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, leggings, raincoats, new underwear, baby blankets,
Absolutely.
children's clothes. Yeah. So right. Well, if we're not working, there are no groups Vihoy in New York City. I don't know of any groups. This what I'm talking about here is a group in Barbados. Okay, so if there are any groups in New York City, and anybody's listening and know of any groups in New York City, so that our viewers in the diaspora would be able to assist, please say so. I think what you could do, Vihoy, is to search for any St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association in New York. You could try, especially the Brooklyn area. You should be able to find some of those, and I'm sure they'll be sending things home for their loved ones. Anything you want to say about that, Honorable Sinclair?
Well, I just simply want to thank you, first of all, for the initiative. I want to thank our Bajan friends and relatives for being our brother's keeper at this time. And for them to know that we are prepared and we are, in fact, helping ourselves. And these incidences are only a matter of time. Today for me, tomorrow for you. And, that's why we are a CARICOM community. And we must show that we can, in fact, be able to take the requisite initiatives to look after each other. And there's an urgency to some of these things, especially with the food supplies. You can't eat yesterday's breakfast today and make up for yesterday. If you're hungry yesterday, you were hungry yesterday. So you can't have too much to eat and to drink. Not that I'm encouraging people to be abusive or not to be thankful, but as far as possible, avoid the partisan distribution by going, as I said, to the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, church groups, any outstanding civil society group that you need to Vincent and Grenadines, so that the material reach those people who need it most. I suspect that the Barbados Defense Force may provide the Coast Guard vessels to assist. Trinidad and Tobago may do the same thing. And we need that help and we need it now.
Yes, yes, most definitely. Here on the screen, Vihoy, and those of you who are in New York City and you want to donate, there's a St. Vincent and the Grenadines Diaspora Committee of New York, and they have a Facebook page. And you could go to the Facebook page and you should be able to see how you can donate. If you're in New York, you can donate. I'm still not seeing anything in the comment section. I know my Bajan people going to donate, but I want us to, just be bold enough to start to put in the comment section what you're going to put. Is it food, clothes, personal hygiene, or emergency supplies? Do you know, just before you go, Major,
Major, yes.
there is another initiative that is leaving tomorrow, actually, and this is by the Catamaran Group, and I think we have that flyer. We're going to put that flyer up now, and so that everyone will be able to see. Right. So this one, Major, is a Catamaran family in Barbados. So we've had a very, very bad situation in Barbados, which our leader of the opposition, Ralph THORNE, is going to join us in another 14 minutes or so to talk to us about, because these are our boats, our fishing boats, Honorable, that were destroyed. A lot of our fishing boats were destroyed or either sunk or they are needing of repairs. I'm being told that majority of boats have been affected. And so our fishing industry has received a major blow. But what
Yes.
someone from the fishing industry told
So
me
so sorry to hear. Yes, yes.
Yes, thank you, sir. What they said to me, they said, if those boats were up and running, Marcia, they would have been taking supplies to St. Vincent and the Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to Grenada and Carriacou. That is what would have been happening. And as I see this on the screen, I remember them because the fishing, all of those men with the fishing boats, they helped so much in the when we had the volcano in St. Vincent. They were taking
Yeah,
supplies.
they are brotherhood in their own right. These brave men of the seas who feed us, they have their own brotherhood. So I know this is happening a lot, even with our St. Lucian neighbors here as well.
Yes,
So
yes.
so
Yes, most definitely. And so we are happy that the Catamaran family is stepping up because they did not lose. I don't think they lost any catamarans, and so they're stepping up. We'll be doing some relief efforts to our neighboring island, Union Island, Mario in the Grenadines. This has been coordinated with the support of NEMO, but NEMO is that government?
yeah, it's the National Emergency Management Organization. It's a statutory organization of the government, and they have experience and they have professionals there who can do a good job. So I recognize them and recommend them.
Yes. Okay. Good. Good. Once. Yes. Okay. So now, what we want, folks. I can see people are We have another 12 minutes in this segment. What I want to see is in the comment section. What we want to see is what you are going to be giving. Galbiz is doing dry foods. And so if you want, you can take that down to the catamarans tomorrow. Thursday, the 4th of July, between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. We will be accepting all donated items at the new building in the Shallow Draft, Bridgetown. So you have got to find where that is. The new building in the Shallow Draft in Bridgetown is where you can go galbiz with the dry food and water. Somebody else is doing clothes and adult diapers. Kathy Weeks is doing food and personal items. Rachel Thornhill is going to send personal hygiene stuff. Folks, when we look and we see the devastation in Union Island, when we see it in all the different islands, Carriacou and all the islands.
Mario and Canawan, yes.
Mario.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Myro.
That's French. Yes, yes.
It's French. Yes. When we see that, Angela, thank you. Angela is going to do sanitary napkins, soap, and toothpaste. We see that it could easily have been us. Easily, Angela. Everton, thank you. A bale of toilet paper, sanitary napkins, and condensed milk. Bless you, Everton. Bless you. Take it down tomorrow. Don't just say you're going to give it and not do it. Take it down to the catamarans tomorrow, or find the church the church that's going down on Friday. Friday is when they are doing their collections on Friday. So you can either donate tomorrow or Friday, and you are going to go to that church, the Harvest Bible Chapel, on Goodland Road there in St. Michael, or you can go down to the catamaran. Okay, and Jacqueline is doing food and adult diapers. And I know VHA, you're going to find those people in New York and donate to them as well. Yes, right, VHA. I know you. I know you're a very generous person. You're going to do that. And somebody wants to know if any relief is going to Kanawan.
If any of the relief is going there?
Yes.
Definitely. In fact, I'm hoping tomorrow to be in Union Island, and I don't know if the boat will pass in at Kanawan and Mario, but there's a boat being chartered, I understand, by the local power company, and we're hoping that there are enough seats that they can allocate 4 or 5 for us in the opposition. I mean, it's really sad, eh? I'm avoiding the politics, but we should not have to be making a special effort as an opposition party to be present where help is needed. This ought to be a part of the constitutional responsibility of the government.
Yes.
To see that there's a oneness at this moment, and to facilitate, at the minimum, the leader of the opposition to be present. And you know what's embarrassing about that is that the Grenadines Islands, Union Island, Mairo, Canawan, Bequia are all represented by the opposition political party in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Oh, wow.
And it's also the case where the destruction is greatest in the city, east, west, and central Kingstown, and South Leeward, that they're all opposition held seats. And you're finding that we are locked out of the exercise. No one has approached me. No one has invited me. Even when I was there this evening, the government is trying to be one up on the exercise by having their operators coming around and doing what they have to do. And I don't know when we are going to get these things right in our small Caribbean states. We don't need that. We really don't need it.
Yes. Well, people are, that is so sad that in this time then that we could make it something as awful like this has happened, and it is being made into a political football. That is awesome. Awful, awful. Jennifer Pollard is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and she's going to be looking for some U.S. avenues who are donated, right? And Rachel is going to give to the Salvation Army, and that's okay. All right, so folks, please keep writing. We just had a few of you, about 10 of you, that has written, and we have almost 800 people on between Facebook and YouTube. I know that we're having some challenges with our viewership, but that's okay. We fight on. We fight on, So, but I need you to like and to share, folks. Like and share, and continue to donate. Continue, yes, sending those donations. Write them into the chat. Well, I don't want to, I know you're using your car battery, and I need you to preserve everything, so I don't want to keep you too long. I want to thank you so much, Major, for being on with me tonight. I don't know if you're still on, if you can still hear me. It seems like you're stuck. Yeah, something is wrong with your Wi-Fi. Wow, I think I had him on too long, and something is wrong with his Wi-Fi. Most of the people where he is in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, most of the citizens are without electricity, and so what he did, he went in his car and tried to, to come on the live with us this evening, because he wants to make sure that everybody knows what's happening to his beloved country, and to see if there's a way we can ramp up the donations that's coming in to the country. I can tell that now he's dropped off because of the Wi-Fi. Yeah, Rachel. And so he's no longer connected with us via StreamYard. So yes. As it relates to monetary donations, I would say hold off on that right now, Everton. I am researching something on that. I will research that for you with some people that I know in St. Vincent. And until I am comfortable, I would say just give the items that you can give the food and the clothes and the emergency supplies, the personal hygiene items, etc. And so those are some of the items that you can give. And as it says here, let's go over just some of the what you can give: water, canned goods, rice, baby formula, cereal and granola, crackers and biscuits, instant oatmeal, nuts, t-shirts, clothes. Remember, if you're going to send clothes, let it be clothes that you will wear, that you would wear, and not just things you want to get rid of in your home. Please be conscious of that. T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, leggings, raincoats. If you're sending underwear, there should be new underwear, and underwear is important, whether whatever kind of undergarment, it should be new. That's what we would appreciate. Baby blankets and children's clothes. Personal hygiene, you're talking about deodorant, important, towels and washcloths, adult diapers and baby diapers, feminine hygiene products, toothbrushes and toothpaste. Yes. People want to know what time to get down to Shallow Drop. Tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. If you just look at the screen, you could take a screenshot of the screen at the moment. Let me just make it a little bigger for you, and you could take a screenshot. All right, so it's tomorrow. You go down to the Shallow Drop between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. All right, and you can drop off these items there. Emergency supplies like candles, flashlights, batteries, tarps, tents, sleeping bags or mats. All right, For those of you who can't make it tomorrow and you want to go down to the church, you can go down to the church tomorrow, and you can drop off at the locations at the Harvest Bible Chapel, and this is on Goodland Road. Harvest Bible Chapel on Goodland Road. You can drop off those supplies on Friday. Those of you who want to drop off tomorrow, you go to the Shallow Draft tomorrow, and that is between 12 and 2. Okay. Yes, important. Right. So the underwear, the underwear that you want to donate should have the tags on them. Agree, so that they are comfortable and they know it's new. You know. So keep the tags on the underwears. All right. You know, Pete Wade, I see the question you have here. You're asking about whether you are asking about whether the whether enough notice was given to people, to the citizens. Well, remember that the system developed quickly. We still all had notice, and but I don't think there is no level of notice that is going to be able to give you you know, hurricane resistance roof in a week. If you didn't have it, you didn't have it, you know. And sometimes, I mean, the best of homes, unless you have concrete roof, right? And I don't know a lot about roofing, but I know that if you have at least concrete roof, then your roof is not going to go anywhere. But if you don't have that, there's some people, because of their poverty level, you know, it's what they have, and they build their homes with what they can afford. And so when the systems come, their homes are not strong enough to resist the wind and the rain, and things happen. It's not because I wouldn't assume that it's because the people were not prepared. That would be a big assumption. You know, yeah, you know. So I think that is important. Well, folks, let me say that we're going to be here, as you know, until 10 o'clock, and you can continue to write in the comment section exactly what you're going to bring, and if you need any clarification on exactly where the deliveries are to be made and where the donations are to be made, feel free to ask again. We'll continue to put the information up for the evening. Okay. All right. Now we told you that the Honorable Ralph Thorne will be with us because he's going to speak to us tonight on the devastation that has occurred in Barbados. And we are speaking specifically of the fishing industry. And this is something that matters to him, because you would remember that where his constituency is, you know, there are lots of fisher folk would be operating in his constituency, and so it will be quite interesting to hear what he has to say this evening as he's settling in. I'm going to ask everybody to share. On the screen is a picture of what would have happened at the Bridgetown Harbor. It's just a little picture. I don't know if it's an actual video that we could watch, but for sure it is a picture, and I think it's a video. So let's just take a little look at what has happened to our boats, our fishing boats. Okay, so we're having a little challenge here, but you can see what is happening there, and I believe we've seen a lot of this has been passed around, and we've seen it all over. And this is our industry. Today, I had the opportunity of speaking to two of the women who make up the fishing industry here in Barbados. and which is primarily, especially on those that sell are generally women. And I mean, this is there are literally, like, they're in mourning, really. One woman, she said to me, a businesswoman, she said, I cried almost the entire night last night. She was crying for herself and also for her friends, these gentlemen who have worked so hard to to acquire their boats. Yes. And so, yeah, it is very, very sad to see what is happening. But I think Mr. Thorne would be ready for us. I think so. I see he has to let me know if he's ready. Yes, and I think he's ready. So we're going to invite him in the studio um, with us tonight. Good night, Honorable Ralph Thorne, leader of the opposition.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Weeks. A pleasure. Pleasure being here. And
Yes.
let me say, first of all, thanks to you and to Dave, of course, for your hospitality and giving me this opportunity to speak to a matter that has gripped the attention not only of Barbados but of the entire Caribbean. And begin by saying that your platform is, I mean, it's excellent. I came on earlier on Dave's instruction because I'm very bad with the technology. And while getting used to the technology, I see that you've gone as far as Kenya and you came back to the Caribbean. This is a wonderful use of technology. Mrs. Weeks, I want to congratulate you for the work that you're doing 3 times a week, is it? This is
Four times a
amazing.
week. 4 times a week
Four
with my
times a week. Four
yes.
times a week. Yes, and you're touching all parts of the world, and I feel honored to be a part of this. I really do. So I want to thank you for the opportunity.
Well, we're honored. We're always honored, sir, to have you on. And we want to say,
Thank you.
myself and all of our panelists, we want to say thank you for those wonderful compliments, because it takes a team. I'm part of a great team that work
Yeah.
very, very hard to make the shows successful, educational, and inspirational. So thank you. And we, on the other hand, want to say, listen, we are so grateful for the work you are doing, because we see ourselves as we're citizens of Barbados and we're part of this big opposition, and but you are inside the
Yes.
parliament and you're fighting every week. And tonight you are here fighting on behalf of the fisher folk and or the fishing industry, and we are
Yes.
we're so grateful that we have you, and we want to
Yes.
thank you for the stellar work that you are
Yes.
doing in the as a leader of the opposition. We see it and we appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Weeks. And my gratitude is ongoing. That when I first went to Parliament in this capacity, you and your team were there to meet me. I did not expect it, and my gratitude continues from day to day. It really does. I thought, and I've said this before, and it is worth repeating. I thought it would have been a fairly lonely journey into the Parliament, and I just thought that I would do the job, but I really did not expect the kind of public response that I receive. And I want to thank you, Mrs. Weeks, for being there on that first day. That meant a lot to me, and it continues to mean a lot to me. I feel strengthened by the support I've had from you, and that is not partisan support. That is moral support.
It is
I feel
moral
very
support.
grateful for that. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
because I'm
And I
aware
make
that
no
you are
bones
not
about it.
partisan.
No, no, I make no bones about it. And let me just say that, Kimar was very, very instrumental in that as well. Our entire team, Dr.
Yes,
Ferdinand was out there, Rose was out there. We do things as
yes,
a team, and that
yes.
we are so, so grateful for the work you are doing,
Yes.
and not just you, but the opposition senators,
Thank you.
Senator Ryan Watson and Ryan Walters. I'm mixing up the names.
Walter.
Yes, and Senator Tricia Watson. So thank you so
Yes,
much to
yes,
all three, that
yes,
team,
and
and to see the team at work.
yes,
And
and
we're
yes, and Maxine McLean and Ainsley Bay will not forgive you if you don't mention their names as well.
correct. Correct. It's and we're
Yes,
still in that moment, and we're still supportive of the
yes,
idea of an opposition. And I tell people that all the
yes,
time.
yes,
You know, idea of an
yes.
opposition that we are supporting, and
The
that's
idea,
wonderful.
the idea,
Yes, but sir,
and I feel humbled to have gone beyond the idea and to be into the actuality. It is not easy, but I'm not complaining. As the Americans say, I signed up for it, and I
yes,
intend to do it as long as I can, uh, or as long as I'm required to. Let me put it that way.
yes. Well, the let's turn our attention to the fishing industry of Barbados. And I
Yes,
was reading up on the industry, and I didn't realize, according to, as of, I think this was 2016, there were 1,000 registered fishing vessels. I found this online. I mean, I'm sure that it's more than
mhm,
that now. And
yes,
they also were saying that, I mean, this is a strong industry, a strong
yes,
industry in Barbados, the fishing industry, that it supplies at least, what, 12 to 16 million dollars of our GDP, annually.
yes,
And
yes,
this is US dollars. 12 to 16 million dollars is a contribution of the fishing industry of Barbados, to the GDP.
yes.
So talk to us about this industry, Mr. Thorne, and why you're so interested in what is happening to it today.
Well, I'm duty bound to be interested because outside of Bridgetown, I think Oistins is the most significant fishing town. Oistins is a fishing town, and I always make that point that the identity of Oistins is that of a fishing town more than anything else. We have banks there. Well, I think we have one now,
Mhm.
but we have banks, we have other retail sectors. But we like to define the town by its fishing culture. And
Yes,
you mentioned statistics. I am not an authority on the statistics, but
yes,
and we do know it contributes significantly to the Barbadian economy. But
yes,
I want to point to its historical and cultural significance. And I always say this, that fishing was one of the early expressions of poor people going into self-employment. It was an
mhm,
early expression of economic freedom, because, as I've always said, uh, while historically our people were locked into the land almost literally, a fisherman went out to sea, so he escaped the bonds of the society, and he went out to sea and he fished, and that was an early expression of freedom, and that is something that we don't focus on enough. That our fishermen are symbols of early freedom, early expressions of freedom, and we must always be grateful to them for being those early symbols of cultural freedom. And so, as I said, I'm not an authority on the statistics, but symbolically, the
yes,
fisherman is a very important cultural and historical figure in this country. And
mhm,
if only for that reason, they must be respected. Now, we all know that the fisherman, in terms of his image, has historically been subject to disparagement. He has been seen as a man uh, not of not the greatest refinement, and that is the stigma that has attached to fishing. But I want to say to you that in modern times and contemporary times, fishing has been brought into dignified places. And a lot of the owners of the fishing boats are people who admittedly they do other jobs, but the industry maintains its economic importance to this country. And I want to say that it has become a dignified industry. The problem may be do the rest of us consider fishing to be a dignified industry? Now, you mentioned some statistics, and those statistics will surprise a lot of people, because when the average Barbadian thinks of industry, he does not think of fishing. He just thinks, well, sometimes I want some fish. He knows it comes from the sea, but he is not aware that it is a highly sophisticated industry where men go out for 2 and 3 weeks, come refrigerate the fish, come back home, refrigerate it at the various facilities, and market that fish, sell that fish to the vendors, who then themselves market it again to members of the public. Now, we've come a long way, Marcia, from the 60s and 70s in Barbados. There was the phenomenon of the fish vendor. We used to call them hawkers. They had to walk into the villages, and they would walk into the village with the basket on their head, and you'd hear them saying, fish, fish. In those days, it used to be, I think, about 10 for a quarter, and a quarter is 25 cents, as you know. And over the years, you watch the price change. And I remember it was supposed to be very expensive when it dropped to 5 for a quarter. And then and this is my own personal history speaking here, so that they used to price them according to a quarter, 25 cents. And we knew that the price was increasing when they stopped speaking of the price in terms of a quarter, and they started speaking of it in terms of $1. So it went from 5 for a quarter, or 4 for a quarter, to 4 for $1. And that told us that we were moving into modern times. That told us that the industry was gaining some respect, because a lot of people used to complain about the price. You know, a man would go into Broad Street and not complain about the price of a suit, but he would complain about the price of the fish when that lady had to walk sometimes from Bridgetown all the way into the rural parts of Barbados selling fish. So it has come a long way. A lot of the disrespect is still there, admittedly, because, as I've said, because of the history of fishing, it has not been brought into, within people's estimation, into the places of highest esteem and highest dignity. But it is getting there, and the loss, the devastating loss this week, will be a reminder to people of the importance of this industry to Barbados. They will lose a significant part of the fish that they've had, and that will be a reminder of how important the industry has been to Barbados and to Barbadians.
Yes. I mean,
you wanted to ask me a question.
Listened to that the whole night, just the history of it. They would even the way they call the fish, they would do it in, it's almost like they're singing a song, it wasn't just
yes,
fish,
yes.
they would drag it out, and it's, the children would tease
yes,
them, they're coming, and it was just part of that symphony. It's almost that it did something to your ears. You heard it, and it sounded like it was a song.
Yes. Yes, I'm glad, Marcia. I'm glad you used the word symphony, because when the children all ran out, and the mothers would run into the street and surround the vendor, the hawker, and the way she lifted the basket off her head, it was almost like a dance when she put it down into the street and people gathered around, and sometimes they'd negotiate a new price right there in the street. And I want to tell you, the smells that would emanate, the smell of the sea, the smell of the fish, the smell of sand was on her clothing, it was in the basket, but there was always sand, the evidence of sand. And that was evidence that you were getting something fresh.
Yes.
So I'm glad you used the word symphony. That interplay, that interrelationship between the vendor and the villager was almost artistic. And you used the word symphony, and I'm glad you did, because there's the word I want to use here is beauty. There was beauty in that relationship. There was beauty in the labor that they did. These are people who went out without any license, without any permission from anybody. They braved the seas, and they stayed overnight. I mean, if you stand and look at the sea, I'm not a lover of the sea particularly. Well, not going into it. But if you stand and look at the sea at night, for me, it is the most frightening thing. And there are men who spend their nights literally under the stars. It's a very dangerous job. It's a very, very dangerous job. but
Yes,
it
very
is beautiful labor. Yeah, it is beautiful labor
beautiful.
historically and culturally.
Yes, and they contribute, and there is a business aspect of it, and here we are smiling and in the memory of all of that, and they bring, they have contributed so much to the culture, but they've also contributed
Yes,
significantly to our economy. Now, I spoke to a couple of
yes,
the fisher folk today, and they talked about the ability to for generational wealth. So a lot of this kind of business is kind of generational. And so when we see a picture
yes,
like this on the screen, Mr. Thorne, when we see this on the screen with this
yes,
devastation, we're looking at families, the family wealth, generational wealth. This is a way
yes,
for Black people, poor Black people, to be able to
yes.
pass on wealth and business,
That's
generational
correct.
families being part. So can you
That's
talk to us
correct.
a little bit about that, because we're going somewhere with this tonight. Talk to now, talk
Yes.
to us about the business aspect of this.
Let me tell you, a fishing boat is a highly valued asset. You would have heard. You would have heard. I think Mr. Bourne uh,
Yes,
estimate the value, and he said that his losses would amount to, I think he said $500,000. His three boats. I discovered in the last couple of days that I was asking one of my constituents about replacing his boat, and he was talking about a wooden boat, and I was of the view that wooden boats were on the way out, which was something that was sad to imagine, because again, Marcia, another cultural feature that reveals beauty is boat building. I don't know if you've ever stopped by a boatyard and watch the boat builder. And a boat builder is a scientist. I mean, that is a level of skill that is unequaled in any other area. A good boat builder is a good scientist. He's a good mathematician. He's a good artist. He is everything. To build something out of slabs of wood that will travel miles and miles out into the ocean and will come back and will not leak. That is almost as that takes as much skill, perhaps, and this may sound heretic, but the pyramids, building the pyramids has been an architectural marvel. And to build a fishing boat out of wood, when you think of it, is really an architectural marvel. That it goes on to the sea, it maintains its balance, and it does not leak. That is a skill
yes,
that is not easy to acquire. So again, the beauty in labor, the beauty of labor, and you find people doing that. And I thought it was disappearing because I drive by Six Mengs as well, and sometimes you see a boat, it's just lying there, and you're wondering, well, where's the boat builder? I was so relieved yesterday when I found out that people are still building boats out of wood, and one of the reasons is financial. I was
yes,
told that the the wooden boats are cheaper now. Fiberglass boat, which is the more modern boat, that's far more expensive. I'm told that that could run up to about $400,000, and a wooden
yes,
boat would be somewhere between 150 and $200,000. Speaking subject to correction. So
yes.
that
That's
I've
what
said
I
all of that
understood
to
today.
say that yes, yes, I've said all of that to say that it is a significant financial investment, significant. And Meng Dai, and I sent you some photographs today, and Meng Dai and their boat becomes an important part of their legacy. They can put it in a will so that a man can own a boat valued at $500,000. Sometimes it may be valued at more than the house that he chooses to live in. And that becomes a more highly valued asset than his house, than his car. And you spoke of generational wealth. That is evidence of generational wealth. That is evidence that the industry has become highly sophisticated, that it has moved from the very modest Moses. I think you know what is the Moses boat, that was the most modest of them. And
Yes.
you find men now building very large boats that go to sea for 3 weeks. They have their fridges and so on board, and that could run up to about $500,000. So it is a highly sophisticated industry, and as you said, there is evidence of generational wealth within the fishing industry. And I'll tell you this, Marcia, other people in Barbadian society, of upper society, have discovered not only the importance of fishing, but how lucrative fishing can be. And they have joined as well. So that
Hmm.
something that started out among poor people has become so lucrative and dignified that it has found its way into the upper reaches of society. So other people have joined in the fishing industry. And that is how important it is to
Yeah.
Barbadians.
Very important. So, there are lots of people who, they see a picture like this, and I will be honest. When this started to occur, on when I saw the pictures on July 1st, I believe, was it, or late July
Mhm,
1st into July 2nd, I said to my
mhm.
husband, I said, but why didn't they secure their boats? If what we're saying is, so you're saying to us that this is generational, they sometimes this is more expensive than the home that they live in, than the car that they drive. The big question is,
Yes.
why were these boats insured? Why did this happen to their prized possessions?
I don't have all of the answers, but I can tell you some of the answers are right there before us. And I've spoken to some, and it seems that they felt that that was their only recourse. Now, I will tell you that the weekend before this storm came, I
Yes.
had heard that the facility in the north was allowing fishing boats to take safe harbor within that facility.
And
I
this
have
facility you're
subsequently
talking
been
about is
told
Port St. Charles. Is it Port St. Charles?
Port St. Charles. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
I was
Continue.
told that. And all this is subject to correction. All this is subject to confirmation from uh, the owners of that facility. I've then been
Yes. Yes.
subsequently told that in order to get shelter in that facility for one's boat, your boat had to be insured. Well, obviously, if things got rough down there and your boat, which is being allowed to come in, damages somebody else's boat, you would want to be sure that uh, the both boats that collided with each other are insured, so that there's no difficulty uh, having both sets of damage covered for the purposes of insurance. So I
Yes.
was told that that was a restriction. Yes, that the Port St. Charles may, and Mrs. Weeks, I'm speaking subject to correction. One has to be very, very careful. Yeah.
Yes.
If what I'm told is true, it makes sense that a man who has his expensive boat in the Port St. Charles facility, if he is of such good nature and such good social will, such goodwill, that he will allow another chap to bring his boat in there. He wants to be sure that it is insured, so that he
Yes.
protects his own property, and I can understand that. So that was a restriction. One of the other restrictions I'm told is that the haulage from Bridgetown to Oistins was in excess of $7,000. Again, I don't wish to be disclosing people's private business, but I think we need to know and to hear these things, so that that is something that happens. And I will pause and say to you, a lot of those boats in Bridgetown are owned by people who operate out of Oistins. Yes, and
I
when
see.
there is bad weather, yes, when there's bad weather, they would take them to come in. When there's bad weather coming, they would take them apparently down to the Bridgetown port, the Bridgetown facility. Uh,
So, if I could just
I've,
pause
I've,
here,
I've,
Mr. Point, to make sure I
yes,
understand.
please.
So, you're saying that because a lot of them, well, it could be implied that quite a number of them went to Bridgetown because of this possible requirement, because I heard that as well. I did my own research as well, and what I was told is
Yes,
that they had to be insured in order to get to Port St. Charles. So a lot of them went to
yes,
the Bridgetown Harbor. Plus, it's closer. Is there?
yes,
Would it have been? Would it have cost
yes.
more? You think if it had to get to Port St. Charles, if they had to go to Port St. Charles?
Well, you could have sailed. I don't think they would have gone by land. They could just simply have sailed it down the coast.
I see. Yes. Okay.
So there's no cost. The cost of which I was speaking was the cost to haul it by road, and I think they do this late at night. They come up Spring
Yes.
Garden, come up the highway, and find their way
Yes.
down to the
And
boatyard
that's
in Oistins. And I'm
$7,000.
told that trip, yes,
Uh-huh.
I'm told that trip could cost in excess of $7,000. So that
Continue.
it seems as if this was the last resort for a lot of these people, that they just bundle these boats into this area, and as the cliche goes, hope for the best. And clearly the best did not happen, because it was a tragedy that was on the cards. I mean, you bundle all those boats in that small area. What's the alternative? The alternative is you just release it out into the sea. But as it turns out, and you couldn't, obviously you'd lose it. It would probably end up in Tobago. So that they bundled them up into this confined area, and we all know what happened. Now, I don't want to play lawyer on your program, but if the fisheries division, whoever operates that area, gave consent to those boats finding harbor in that confined area, maybe they are accepting some responsibility for the safety of those boats. Maybe they are, but I don't want to play lawyer here. What we do know is that it turned out to be disastrous, and that they are where they are today, at the bottom of the sea in some cases, or irreparably destroyed, because they were there in that confined area. I'm not trying to cast blame on any public servant or anything, but where they were, they ought not to have been. And I expressed the view, and I still do, that from the time we knew that this system was coming, that some provision ought to have been made for those boats other than that confined area. And I went to Parliament on Tuesday, and I was expecting a ministerial statement. I did not hear it, and I felt that I should have my say as leader of the opposition, as a person representing the town of Oistins within the constituency of Christchurch South. And I expressed the view then, and I still express the view now, that open areas across Barbados ought to have been made available for those boats. I heard Mr. Abed say on radio this evening that the businesses, the buildings in town suffered no damage. Yes, what that indicates to all of us is that the buildings and property on land was far safer than boats in that confined space. I repeat, there could have been some haulage of those boats well in advance of Monday that would have guaranteed their safety. And I said, playing fields, open areas, all across. We have so many of them across Barbados. And I know that whenever I speak, it is as if some people expect me to be supportive of the government. I'm the leader of the opposition. Yes, and constitutionally, the leader of the opposition opposes the government. But he does not oppose the government for the sake of opposing the government. He opposes the government constructively. And constructive opposition involves the truth. And the truth is that, and this is an undeniable truth. The truth now is that, the undeniable truth is that those boats are damaged and or destroyed because of where they were located. Nobody can deny that. And I'm saying that as an alternative after the fact, that it would have been more sensible, I think, to take those boats, if they took them into streets where the buildings have not been destroyed, onto playing fields, wherever. You had to take them somewhere where they did not suffer damage. Now there's Tank Bay, there's Pile Bay, there's 6 mains. Have we heard of any damage to the boats in those areas? I have not heard of it. So it stands to reason that the other boats in the other locations did not suffer damage because they were properly, I beg your pardon, they were properly kept, they were properly located. The point I am making is that you could have put those boats almost anywhere except in that confined location. They are lost or damaged today, not because of any structural defects, but because of where they were located. Anybody who wants to challenge that really is trying to make a political point that really is not worthy of being listened to. And I'm saying that my criticism has been constructive. It has been based on truth. It has been based on the evidence. I was referring to Mr. Abate's statement that just a mile away, perhaps, the buildings in town did not suffer any damage, and that they could have found land spaces for the safekeeping of those boats and to place them there until the bad weather had passed. Now, as I said, there seems to be an intolerance. Well, I expect resistance to the voice of the opposition. I respect that. I expect resistance. What I'm really fatigued about is the intolerance. This view from within government circles that you do not have the right to criticize the government. And that is a right I have. And the more, Marcia, the more resistance I meet, the more intolerance I perceive, the more I will pursue this job on behalf of the people of Barbados. Yeah, I'm going to repeat that I have a duty to scrutinize. I must analyze. I reserve the right to criticize. And where it is due, I will chastise. Government will make mistakes. And anybody who feels hurt by this will have to endure the pain of hearing it. That I believe the government made a mistake. And I believe that those boats suffered because of government's delinquency. And I said it in the Parliament yard when I was angry, and I'm not as angry now. Well, not demonstrably so, but I am still adhering to my view that the government seemed to be paying much of its attention to the entertainment at Kensington on Saturday. And I'm going to disclose something now. I'm going to put myself in it. I received an invitation to cricket in one of the privileged locations at Kensington. To look at the final, I refused. Now, I didn't think my presence would have made a difference. I didn't think so. But I felt the government and the members of the government ought to have been paying more attention to the hurricane and to preparedness. Because here it is, you have the government telling people to be prepared. Oh, let us be prepared. But we are at Kensington in entertainment, and this is Saturday, and a hurricane is coming on Monday, a day after the event. Now, the event is important. I have to ask the question, is there some political figure, and I'm going to use broad terms, is there some political figure in this country that remained delinquent insofar as the safety of those boats were concerned? As I said in Parliament Yard, and I repeat, were we engaged in revelry when we ought to have been paying attention to a cluster of boats in a confined area that caused their damage or destruction? And I can be accused of politicizing it. Yes, I am politicizing it. Because this is something, there are very few areas of our life which are not impacted or affected by political action. And the location, that is why you see the prime minister and all the ministers turning up and having press conferences. No, they are not there because they are, simply, they're not there out of any social goodwill. They're there because of a political obligation. They must be there. Yes, and they must come up with ways as politicians, as people responsible for political action. They must come up with ways to solve the problem. So their presence there is political. So you can't accuse me of being political when their activity is equally political. So that my response, yes, it is political. Mine is a political response, and it is necessarily so because the government is involved, and the government is a political entity, and the government is involved as a political entity. So it is, the whole thing is political. So that there's this attitude now that whenever you comment, oh, he's bringing politics into it. Yes, I am bringing politics into it because politicians are involved, and politicians are duty bound to be involved. And if the prime minister and the cabinet are involved, I reserve the right to be involved, and they are involved as politicians, and I have a right to be involved as a politician as well. Their action, their reaction is political, and my reaction is political as well. So I want to dismiss the nonsense from the psychopaths in social media who are saying that I am politicizing an issue when the government itself is duty bound to do something political to rescue these people. So let us dismiss the nonsense about he's just being political. Look, politics affects people's education. You would have seen just 2 days ago, Marcia, or yesterday, the government issued a statement in which they are threatening to pass a law to control private schools, so that political action affects education in Barbados. Political action affects people's access to housing. Political action affects people's access to health care. Political action affects the prices of goods because it is government that sets taxation. So I want to reject this nonsensical comment about politicizing something. Yes, you politicize it because it is political action that gives people safety and gives people guarantees of fair access to a country's resources. So it is time for the sycophants on social media to stop that nonsense, stop that rhetoric. All that they are expressing is an intolerance to criticism. The government must not be criticized. So when the prime minister visits, that is not political. The prime minister is probably doing it because she's a nice woman, and she's going there because she's nice and she's a hero. No, she's not going there because she's nice, which she may well be at the personal level. She may well be a nice person, but she does not visit these places because she's nice. She is duty bound as prime minister of this country. She is duty bound as the chairman of the cabinet. She is duty bound as prime minister to visit these places and to seek to bring order, to bring restoration, to bring reparation to an industry that was destroyed by the negligence of a government and its officials. That is my position. It was my position on Tuesday. It was my position on Monday, and it remains my position to this very minute while I'm speaking. I want to say again, if it were not political, why was I summoned to Parliament on Tuesday on the promise that I would have heard a ministerial statement as to the events that took place on Monday? That's political. If you promise me that a minister is coming there to make a ministerial statement, he is not going there because he's nice. He is going there to address an issue that confronted Barbadians. He's doing that in his capacity as a minister, as a parliamentarian, as a politician, and he's making a political statement. And Marcia, I intended to go there and to make my political statement as representative of Christchurch South, in which Oystons is located, as leader of the opposition. I had intended to respond to it, not to respond with destructive criticism, but to respond to it as objectively as I could, and definitely honestly and with the truth. I was deprived that opportunity. I am still curious today as to why I was asked to come to Parliament on Tuesday to hear a ministerial statement, hopefully with the reserved right to respond to it. And I was denied, and not me, Barbadians were denied the right to hear that ministerial statement because Barbadians needed to be given some account as to the events that took place on Monday. Barbadians needed to be given an account as to what had been government's role, what had been government's preparedness or lack of preparedness. Barbadians needed to know why a cluster of boats were in an unsafe harbor just prior to a destructive hurricane, while some members of the government, I can't say all, were there, while they were engaged in revelry at Kensington Oval. I will not apologize for that. It is a fact. They were at Kensington. I can't say all of them were, but I want to say that it reflects some form of neglect of an important industry. Some minister ought to have been assigned. Some minister, I don't know which one, but some minister ought to have been assigned to the fishing industry. You have a category 4, whether it's 4, 3, 2, or 1. Some minister ought to have been assigned to ensure that our fishing industry was safe from the destruction that it endured on Monday. Here we are now with an industry substantially disabled. Here we are, we have not lost lives, but we've lost livelihoods. And it is painful to watch the interviews. It is painful to hear a man say he had 3 boats, Mrs. Weeks. He has none today. It is painful to hear a wife say that she sells fish and her husband is a boat owner and they do not know what they're going to do. It is absolutely painful to hear a man say that the government, and I'm going to broaden it, that governments have never respected the fishing industry. In spite of the wealth it brings into this country. It was painful to hear him say that. And when asked what he is going to do, he said, walk about and beg people for things to eat and things to drink. That is painful. Wow. That is painful. Someone was negligent, politically negligent, administratively negligent in failing to ensure that our industry was protected from the ravages of that hurricane on Monday. Somebody has been negligent. Why are they going to deny that? Why are they so resistant? Why are they so resistant to what everybody in Barbados knows? And beyond resistance, why are they so intolerant? It is the truth. It is the truth, and they must accept the truth. And in accepting the truth, they must now look for solutions. And that is where this country must be at this juncture. Yeah. At this juncture, we must be looking for solutions.
Solutions. And, yes, I love that. And I want to say to those of you, because I see a lot of comments on social media and even in the chat here where people are saying, well, it's their business. And so the government, the idea, just as though I didn't understand, I was thinking that why don't they take care of their, but when you consider the cost of the boats and even the haulage and all of that, I have to think about, say, for example, the agricultural industry, the sector. That sector is heavily subsidized. When you look at tourism, I mean, when you begin, because a lot of people don't understand these things, Mr. Thorne, but tourism is heavily subsidized. You look at the sugar industry. Sometimes I say, well, it's a government that's really running these businesses. So all of these industries, they need a subsidy in order for them to operate. You take the film industry. I'm a filmmaker, Mr. Thorne, and that is what we've been crying out. And we are a young fledgling industry, and so we're going to need that injection. We're going to need you to come and hold us up. And for a very an industry like the fishing industry, Mr. Thorne, that you have so eloquently described to us at the beginning of this segment. And for it to still be in this kind of condition where it is seen as something second class, something that is
Yes.
contributing over
Second,
12
second,
million US
it's not so
dollars.
high. They haven't elevated it to second class. It hasn't reached that high in the estimation of too many people. It's probably not fifth class. And that is why the criticisms that you will hear of fishermen and the fishing industry, you're not going to hear of other industries. And as you've correctly said, we assisted tourism during COVID. And this is not a condemnation or criticism of hoteliers or people involved in tourism, because that's an important industry. But who complains when tourism receives help? Who complains when manufacturing during COVID? There are parts of manufacturing that received help. Nobody complained because these are glamorous areas. Who complained when we borrowed $50 million to paint Kensington? Who complained? Only a few of us. Who complained when we dedicated public monies to deviance and social marginalization over the last few months? You know what I'm talking about. Barbadians know what I'm talking about. Yes, we committed public monies to deviance and marginalization in this country. Obviously, we're trying to help the fellas to get some money. The success of that program is yet to be revealed. But the larger point is that we as politicians, we as taxpayers have consented in assistance, large assistance given to several sectors of the economy. You pointed out tourism. You pointed out sugar. I mean, sugar was hobbling for years and years and years. I wonder if Barbadians understand the level of protection, financial protection that has been given to the sugar industry over the last many, many years. I don't want to put a number on it, but I know it became an issue in the 90s when the industry was restructured and the industry was helped along. It was hobbling and it was helped along by taxpayers' monies. And in more recent times, as I said, deviants in Barbados got some financial assistance from the taxpayers' money as well. But we complain. We complain about the thought that fishermen should receive some help. We hear, oh, they don't pay insurance and they don't do this and they're irresponsible. But a lot of us are irresponsible as well in how we do things in our professions, even in our politics. Sometimes we're irresponsible. Yes, but these are fishermen. They occupy the lower rungs of society's strata. So, there's not a lot of respect, but respect is due and respect must come. And I think that the government will and must reach a point of bringing solution to this crisis. This is a severe crisis. We thought, we looked on at first glance and thought, oh, it's the loss of a boat. Nobody died, but it's the loss of livelihoods. And it is the loss of livelihoods beyond the men who go out on those boats, the women who sell the fish, an entire industry and its consumers will miss this industry. It gets smaller. The economy, I don't know how significant it will be, but the economy must contract. And apart from the economy, you will have living beings out there who will have nothing to do. I spoke to another constituent yesterday and I asked him, I almost called his name, what are you going to do? He said, boy, I got some rent here to pay. I do not know what I'm going to do. The boat that he used to fish on Marcia is at the bottom of the sea off Bridgetown. What is he going to do tomorrow and next week? Are we not prepared as a country to consider this? Are we so lacking in empathy and compassion that we will not consider the importance of these lives to a society, to an industry, to our very palates, that these are men who feed us, these are women who feed us, and will we just dismiss them with accusations of failure to pay insurance? Look, Marcia, I went to pay my insurance on Monday. Yesterday. Man, and I'm sitting down there trying to haggle with the lady. House insurance. Interesting time to pay it, huh? But I admit that. And the point is, for a lot of us, the car and the house and
Yes.
everything. The insurance rates in this country are high.
Yes.
And a fellow will try to cut a corner. And he will try to do it with a boat, because a boat, look, insurance, in insurance, you're really buying a risk. You're paying against the risk of an unhappy event. And I don't want to condone it, but if a fella sails his boat from here down to Tobago and back, he figures, look, unless it is very personal negligence, he's going to go there and get back. He's not going to spring a leak. He's not going to collide with another boat. And he may do that for 5, 10, 15 years. And he has a choice. Should I pay insurance for this low risk activity, or should I take the chance? Some people take chances. Sometimes when you have a house fire, the media, one of the first questions the media asks, was the house insured?
Yeah.
Because people understand that it really dents your pocket. And people are not rich. People will try to cut and contrive. And a fisherman, a boat owner, tries to cut and contrive. I heard Mr. Bourne say, look, if I try to insure all three, it is going to diminish my profits. That may be, some people will make a judgment as to that behavior. Some people will, but it is not recklessness. It is a chance that people take that a boat will go without an accident for 5, 10, 15 years. It's a chance that they take. I hope they don't take it with cars on the road, because that is a risk that you should not play with, because you're playing with people's lives. Yes, there's a high risk. But, boat people are not perfect. Like the rest of us, they're flawed. We are flawed. And we cut corners and we take chances. But the boatman, I get a sense that people are so disgusted that they're out there looking for a reason to demonize the fisherman. How could he be out there? He ain't got his boat insured, and it is captured up in a corner, and he don't have any insurance. It was destroyed, and I'm going to repeat this. The boat was destroyed not because it did not have insurance cover. The boat was destroyed because somebody was negligent. Somebody placed, how many ever they were, 60 or 100, whatever the number was, somebody placed those boats up in a corner. And if you saw them crashing against each other, you would know that they should not have been there. You would know that they should have been spread out across Barbados. You would know that some urgency ought to have been attached to the safekeeping of those boats, and that there ought to have been some remedy. I'm sorry to have interrupted you, Marcy. I'm really sorry about that.
No. But I understand the passion at which you're speaking, and it's making complete sense, because I was one of those saying, why aren't the boats insured? But as I spoke to people today, I've begun to understand a bit better that it's a cost of the boats, and then there's not much subsidy. I was speaking to one of them today, and a fisher folk, and she said to me that one of the areas that a lot of people don't understand is that the fisherman has to pay the same price for gas that we pay on the the gas on the road, for your vehicle. And it's very expensive to go to sea, because they go out there for say 2 weeks or so, thereabout. I hope I took the right notes and I'm not saying the wrong thing. That, as you said, I think you said 2 to 3 weeks that they go out there, and they have to buy groceries for the for the men, and so on, and then they have the gas. So even she was saying that even the petrol, that there's something that needs to be done for them, because they are also paying back money, because they don't go and buy these boats cash. Don't forget, now they have to pay monthly on these boats. So it's a lot of expense, that they have to endure. And these are generally poor people, and so it's not easy, and that's why the subsidy is important. Have you heard anything of that in terms of the petrol?
No, I did not, but I know there's an association, Barnufo, the Barbados National Union of Fisherfolk
Mm,
Organizations. I'm not sure. I don't speak without authority. I'm not sure if the cost of the price of the fuel is subsidized. I don't know. What I do know is that we're all flawed in our personal and business habits, and we seem quite standard than that which we hold other people. And that is because a lot of us are looking for a way out. And the way
yes,
out of this crisis is to blame them, to demonize them. And I want the public to stop that. I want the public to look at itself and look at its own habits. And before it casts a stone, the verse about casting stones.
yes,
Let the one who is without sin cast the first stone. All of us are sinners in terms of our business practices. We all try to cut a corner sometimes. They're no different. They're no different from us. They are no different from us. But we are
yes,
trying to
yes,
demonize them. We are trying to hold them to this exceptionally high standard that a chap must look at his boat and say, well, if it is valued 400,000, I'm going to pay a $400,000 premium. Which gives me the opportunity to say this, that when I was at the insurance company yesterday, and I joked and said I was trying to haggle my way into a cheaper premium. Uh, if I remember my insurance law well, a broker is the agent for the insured person, for the consumer.
mm-hmm,
And I wonder if our brokers remember this, that the role of the broker is to negotiate as good a premium, as affordable a premium as possible. And we tend as consumers to accept whatever the insurer asks us for. If he says, I want $100, we pay, like if we pay an electricity bill, we have no choice. Um, it's a contract. And I am going to ask the brokers in Barbados quite gently and kindly to get into the habit now. I'm sure they do it, but I want to remind them that they could do it a bit more. That they need to negotiate insurance premiums, and if they do so, they need to be appearing to negotiate favorable premiums on behalf of the consumer. We know that the insurance company wants to make money, but just to remind the brokers that in law, the broker is the agent for the consumer, for the person who's purchasing the insurance. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people believe that the broker is allied legally to the insurance company. Yes, he's allied to the insurance company in terms of his responsibility to ensure that the coverage is given. But
mm-hmm,
before that stage is reached, he is supposed to be there negotiating on behalf of the consumer, on behalf of the person who is purchasing the insurance. So
yes,
I say that as a suggestion going forward, because we all want to find ways to resolve this crisis. And in resolving this crisis, we will obviously be hoping that the insurers make a bit of a sacrifice for an industry that's so important. Not that
mm-hmm,
we're asking them to give anybody a free ride, but to recognize that the industry has been crippled to a large extent, and that if it is to recover, they're going to need some concessions too. Um, I would hope as well, and it is not only the insurance companies, I would hope that the credit unions or banks or financial institutions uh, can show a human face, because something has to be done, and the government
yes,
has to do something. And the government has to do something not because a government comprises nice people, but a government is duty bound as politicians who must be involved in the commercial and economic life of a country. They are obligated as such to intervene and to find a way to resolve this crisis. They're entitled to do that privately. It is not our job. They've been asking us. One lady asked me if I went down, if I went down to oysters. She said it on social media. And she said it in all seriousness. If I went down there, I helped the people sweep away the sand. And, sometimes people do say some ridiculous things. But I want to tell you this, Marcia. When I went down there on Monday after the all clear was given, people still have their sense of humor. And this is not to digress. But several people were saying, well, boy, they said they spent 5 million. Well, if they say so, they got to spend 15 million now. And people found a way to laugh themselves out of their sorrow.
Yes.
But a lot of mistakes have been made. I know one of the sexy words going around this country now is resilience. And if it is to have any real meaning, on Monday, what I saw was resilience. Even the fellows who play the road tennis in the back, they were shoveling the sand up. That is evidence of resilience. The lady who had sand in her place, when I went in there, look, her place was almost clean. So to the lady that asked if I helped to clean away the sand, no, I did not get a chance to, but I saw it being done. Marcia, I realize you're I realize you're putting up some pictures on the screen.
Yes, I wanted you to.
If you're doing that,
Dave, go back to the first picture. So these pictures, we need to tell can you tell us, give us the history, or the background on these pictures, Mr. Thorne?
Absolutely happy to do so. When was this? I think I know it was before COVID, and I know it was early in the first term. Look, I am not being immodest here, but I must begin this sentence with the word I. I convened meetings at Oystins to find ways, and this probably would have been 2018, 2019, when the government in 2018. Yeah, it would have been around 2018, 2019. And one of the first order of business, yes, that photograph there. Let me tell your viewers what that photograph is about. That, I can't see it too well. That photograph is that of a group of, yes, thank you very much. A group of, yes, that's me there in the middle in the tie. I had come from work. That was a weekday. I had convened a meeting of all the stakeholders in Oystins, boat owners, fishermen who were not boat owners. The lady to the right of the photograph, no, the other side, bring her up. That lady, and I hope she doesn't mind me calling her name is Lucille Clark. Lucille Clark is the oldest fish vendor in Oystins, stands regally. And she came to that meeting. What were we discussing? Lucille Clark is probably around 90 years old now, I think. I know she's high in her 80s. Her sister is called Evelyn Dottin, two proud residents of Oystins. She started selling fish at the age of 14. She's been doing it for 70-something years. When she started selling fish, she was walking the street selling it. She now occupies a stall in the fish market at Oystins. But I digress. What is this meeting here about? I did it. Permit me to say I called a meeting of all of the vendors.
But you called the meeting. That's the thing about. That's why they go around social media. Let me say something here, and this is why people don't understand Mr. Thorne, and that's why they love to say I am DLP, because I come to your defense. But you have to be able to judge a person by the spirit. You don't understand, Mr. Thorne is not somebody that is going to push what he does, and I did this and I did that. And that is why some of the things that you see going around in social media, they say, why he don't come out and this, and why, because that is not his style, and I have to jump in here because I admire that. But go ahead. You go ahead. Sorry.
That's very kind of you.
So
and I did not do that.
Because you did it.
Yeah, permit me to say this, Marcia.
Yes.
I did not call that meeting because I'm nice, which I may not be. I called that meeting because I was and still am the political representative, the parliamentary representative. So it was political action that brought me into that meeting. And I called that meeting of all of the people concerned in the industry. The person next to me, I hope he does not mind, but it's there in the photograph, is Mr. Ralph Williams. We know him as Busy. He's in the second one too. He is standing to my right. Included in that photograph, that gentleman Mr. Williams very kindly, I think he was the man that Mr. Williams brought in from North America. And I will tell you why he brought him in. Those are all the boat owners and fishermen there. Further to the right of myself and Mr. Williams and the gentleman from North America and the other gentleman there to the other side. The other side. Hallam there in the red shirt, he died, I think, last year or 2 years ago. That gentleman there in the white hat, he's an engineer as well, Ralph Adams. Ralph and I were at school around the same time. So we called it the meeting of the Ralphs. Ralph Thorne, Ralph Williams, and Ralph Adams. Yes, that's Ralph Adams there. We held a meeting in that boatyard. And the reason for that meeting was to find a way to haul the boats up into the boatyard. Yes. And we discussed building a jetty or a little harbor. And the engineer said, no, it would not be possible because the motion of the sea would make the boats unstable as they were unstable in Bridgetown. So they dismissed that idea. And we came up with the idea of having a vehicle. This vehicle would actually go into the sea. The boat would come at shore's edge. That vehicle, yes, that's Ministers Humphrey and Prescott. And that's myself there, second from right. All these meetings, I involved the government ministers. And because I played myself humbly, yes, that's me there speaking to the media. Kirk is next to me, to my right. And all those microphones come from, that's the vehicle I was talking about. Marcia, these discussions were so, that's the vehicle. These discussions were so advanced. That's the vehicle. So that this vehicle was supposed to go into the sea. It would have rested underneath the boat. It would clasp itself around the boat and it would pull the boat into the boatyard. We presented those plans to government. And this was a long time ago. We presented those plans to government. Marcia, please permit me. I called that meeting. Not because I'm nice, but because I'm the parliamentary representative. Politically duty bound to do it. And we had the support of all those good people in the photograph. Someone will ask the government what happened to the proposals that we made. I'm not here to criticize on that because as you would have seen, I got Kirk to come and I got Trevor to come. I beg your pardon. Minister Humphrey and Minister Prescott attended the meeting. At the time, Trevor was the minister responsible for NCC. Kirk was the minister responsible for the blue economy. I think that minister is now Adrian Ford. So that there's no, and you would pick up from my tone that there's no hostility between us. I was asking them to do a job as ministers with their, that's the vehicle, with their portfolios. Come, let us see what we can do for Oistins. Not because we are nice, but because as politicians and parliamentarians, we are duty bound to solve the problems in Oistins, the problems related to this problem here now. That if we had that vehicle, if we had safe harbor in Oistins, a lot of those boats that sank on Monday would be intact today. So that this work was started a long time ago. That's Ralph and myself walking through the boatyard after, during our discussions, because we were really committed to the cause. Let me pause and say to you, Marcia, and I will say this, and I tell the truth. I drove by Oistins and saw, they will say that I don't go to Oistins often. That's not true. But the day that they put up that fence around the boatyard, my heart sank. You know, I don't know if you've gone through Oistins recently. The government has not only fenced in the playing fields of this country to make them appear separate and apart from the villages in which they're contained, but they also did it to the boatyard in Oistins. I came along and a boat owner told me years ago that Sir Harold St. John, the revered Sir Harold St. John, said, never fence in the boatyard. I don't know, the boat owner did not tell me precisely why Sir Harold said not to. But if this is his view, I agree with him that the boatyard is an organic part of Oistins. It gives Oistins its identity, a boatyard with people building boats and boats being hauled up and pushed into the sea. That is the Oistins identity. And if you make it a secluded or fenced off area, psychologically, psychologically, you remove that boatyard from the property, from the social property that we call Oistins. I am so distressed today to see not only it has been fenced in, but it has barbed wire at the top of it. What is it? I don't know who called for it. I don't know if the boats were at risk of being vandalized. I don't know. But that boatyard stood there for a long, long time. Sir Harold said not to fence it in. Sir Harold has gone to the great beyond, and all of a sudden they fenced it in. I don't think they should do it. I would like to see the fence come down. I would like that to see that psychologically and socio-psychologically that boatyard becomes an organic part of the Oistins that owns it and that is owned by that. That is the identity of Oistins, and it must remain an organic part of Oistins. So that is just something that I wanted to say about Oistins, about the cutting up, partitioning Oistins up like this, separating the boatyard from the people of Oistins. A lot of tourists, when they walk from down by the church and the laundry down there, they walk right through the boatyard, and that is a feature of Oistins. It gives them a feel of the town, and they walk from the boatyard, they walk right into the market. What you have down there now are a lot of fences. I don't know if it is if there's a fresh need for security, but you are really damaging the identity of Oistins with all these fences. Yeah, too many fences, and it is looking like a military base. It needs to become a social location once again, and a cultural location. But to come back, that's the vehicle there on the screen. To come back to it, that is what the vehicle looked like. I'm not going to accuse the government of anything in relation to the proposals that we made. Perhaps the proposals are still there. Perhaps the proposals will be accepted. Perhaps they told me what they were going to do, and I don't know if I had forgotten. But the fact is, if these proposals had been accepted, and if our meetings had yielded enough fruit, Marcia, Mrs. Weeks, some of those boats that perished on Monday would have been in Oistins standing proud today.
Wow.
I tried my best, but clearly, as the song says, my best was not good enough. Nothing has happened, and all these efforts have come to nil. All those big meetings, all the problems we thought we had solved. Yes, that's the engine of the vehicle. All the problems we thought we had solved. Not solved.
I want Dave
for some
to
reason.
keep this on the screen. People are taking screenshots, and the reason they're taking screenshots, Mr. Thorne, it's because if we didn't have this issue, Mr. Thorne is not the person that is going to be putting out all of this and say he did this and so on. And it's important for people to understand that there were proactive steps that were being taken. It is that, and when you hear,
we have several meetings, Mrs. Weeks. Yes, I'm sorry I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you're correct. Go right ahead. Yeah.
Yes, just to say that we held several meetings, and I want to compliment Mr. Williams again, because he was so committed to the idea that I think he flew the man in from Florida. From Florida, and showed us these photographs of the vehicle that he was proposing to have the problem solved. And that's why so many fishermen, so many boats, I recognize a lot of them, by the way. There's Hallam, as I told you, in the red shirt. He and I fell out at one point, not a problem. He died recently, not because we fell out. I recognize some of the other, and I am sure Trevor Bourne, Mr. Bourne, who lost his 3 boats, he's in that photograph as well, which tells you that we had the people there who have suffered loss on Monday. We had the people who were in.
Are you hearing him, or am I the one offline?
And we put proposals to government. Hearing me?
Right, I'm hearing now. Go ahead, right ahead.
My work.
Okay, he's cutting out. You're cutting out, Mr. Thorne. You're cutting out. That's such a pity. Okay, you're cutting out. Why don't you just leave? I'm gonna let you leave and come again. I want this is
Wasn't
this
doing
is. Let me let you leave and
how,
come again.
how
I'm gonna remove you, and you go out, exit, and come back in, and see if that might help. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, let's see. All right.
you hear me?
Yeah, keep speaking. Let me see. Yes, hearing now. Let's continue.
Yes. Oh, good, good. As and I'm repeating this for emphasis, Mrs. Weeks. What I was
Yes.
doing was political. I was duty bound to do it. I was duty bound to use my office as parliamentary representative for the constituency of Christchurch South, and more particularly for Oyston's a fishing town, to find solutions to the problem of fishing. And because the boats had no way of getting onto the land safely, I thought that I should speak to the engineers, Mr. Williams and Mr. Adams, and Mr. Herbert was there at one point in time. All engineers, all esteemed engineers, and let me say we brought them together and we had these meetings and they were so happy. And not only did I bring them there, but I brought the politicians, my colleagues. I brought Mr. Prescott and I brought Mr. Humphrey. And we had some wonderful meetings. Sometimes we had them during the week, but mainly we had them on Saturdays. And I want to compliment Mr. Williams again for the efforts he made in flying this man
Yes.
in from the United States to find a
Yeah.
solution to this problem. I want to congratulate him. I haven't seen Ralph Adams. I hadn't seen Ralph for a long time. And 2 Sundays ago, I saw Ralph at lunch. And we spoke. And we didn't speak of Oystons, but we spoke cordially. But I tried. I tried my best, but my best wasn't good enough. Nothing has happened at
Yeah.
Oystons in terms of the
Can
haulage
you
of
tell
these
us what the
boats.
cost was? What would have been the cost for this piece of equipment,
Oh dear.
Mr. You
Ah.
remember?
No, I don't. I don't remember, but in terms of governmental expenditure, it was not expensive. It definitely was not expensive. And it was the
Yes.
alternative, the government building a very expensive dock for the boats. And the
Ah,
engineer said not to go with the dock because it would have made the water was the water would have crashed the boats against the dock, just as happened in Bridgetown on Monday.
Bridgetown. So
But it was
it
not
is not.
expensive. And I feel so proud of those photographs, you know. I feel really proud of them. That here was a time when the entire fishing community came together to assist government in resolving a problem relating to fishing. And I'm going to
Yes.
stop short of blaming government
Yeah,
for
they dropped
the
the
fact
ball. I
that
mean, you
this
won't do it, but
did not come to
you're not
fruition.
saying it, but it is true that they dropped the ball because when you think that, okay, 5 million, I'm saying it, not you, 5 million was used. They said they spent it on oysters. Can you imagine if that money, and they could have, it might have cost more than 5 million, but a little bit more was put on it and
No, it
they
did not. No, Mrs. Weeks. It did not cost 5 million. I can tell you that. That vehicle that I showed you did not, I don't think it would have cost 5 million.
And then
I
to
don't
think
think
of
so.
how much then and this is what I want to say this to the Barbadian public, and this is what you see the young people did in Kenya. They're holding their government, let's say they're holding their politicians, they're holding the government accountable and saying what you spent
Mhm.
$5,000 to do what in Oystins when years ago, probably a fraction of it could have been used to buy to buy this equipment, this piece of equipment that would allow the boats to be hauled out of the water and brought on land, and all of them would not have had to be brought to the Bridgetown
Yes,
Harbor to be stuck
yes,
up together there.
yes,
This was a solution
yes,
that you had. You see, this is a solution that you
yes,
had, and you
yes,
dropped the ball there. You
yes,
also dropped the ball, and
yes.
Mr. Thorne alluded to it, and I am going to say it. Mr. Thorne, you also dropped the ball, government. For those of you who are watching from the government, you dropped the ball in that you had cricket going on, yes, Okay, so cricket was going on. Nobody knew that we were going to have a Cat 4 hurricane. But the thing about it, though, is that, okay, cricket was finished. Did we have to continue with all those parties and all of those things that you guys did? What about the preparation of the country? You were telling us to prepare, but you yourselves weren't preparing.
Mhm.
You weren't doing anything. You know, you weren't
Precisely.
doing anything. And
Precisely.
that's what we're talking
Precisely.
about. That's what we're talking. And we have a
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Thorne has a right as a leader of the opposition, and I dare say the people of Barbados, they have a right to ask you these questions, and they have a right to
Yes.
say how they feel about how you
Yes.
conduct yourself and how you govern this nation. And that's what we are talking
Yes.
about tonight.
Precisely. They made a mistake. They made a misjudgment. And they must accept the criticism and stop demonizing people who merely meet their responsibility to criticize and to criticize constructively. Look, Mrs. Weeks, I'm going to use the word I again. I made a proposal to the NCC for the construction of a larger gazebo at Oistins. I don't know how well you know Oistins, but
Yes.
the dominoes in Oistins became a really central feature of the Oistins project, the Oistins package, the Oistins attraction. And I said, look, these domino players are crowded into a very small area. And I used to see Barbadians and tourists walk up Oistins, they shop and so on at the various restaurants. And then they'd all stop and watch these domino players. And that was a feature. You see that in Cuba, I think. I've seen photographs of Cuba in which the people are playing Wari and dominoes and so on. And that, it is such a peaceful, it is a real oasis in Oistins. And I put a proposal to NCC, which NCC accepted, incidentally, to construct a large gazebo to the east of the Bay Garden. You know where the dominoes players are? They're out under a mango tree in the car park on the other side of the street. And they were under a piece of plastic. When the rain came, they would put up some plastic and under this mango tree. I believe they gave them a tank recently. So that our plans for the gazebo, like the vehicle that would have pulled the boats out, those plans have gone as well. I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough. NCC approved it. As far as I'm aware, town planning approved the construction of the gazebo. I didn't do it because I was nice. I did it because I was the parliamentary representative. I was the politician. I am the politician there. But those plans have gone awry as well. Where are those plans? Where are the dominoes players under a right tank in the car park in the dead of the night? Under a right tank. When they could have had a gazebo, I had, yes?
I was saying
pardon.
that when I think about Oistins really, it's like when a tourist comes to Barbados. When I'm doing filmmaking and I have people come into the country, as a general rule, Dave and I always they have to go to Oistins. Once I have visitors in Barbados, I take them to Oistins. It's the Mecca. It is a place of tourism.
There's an energy there.
If you haven't gone to Oistins, you have not, and you're going to tell me that you had all these proposals, and this is not something that they thought that they needed to fund. That they could not pay for that equipment. They didn't think that they needed to spend the money now at that time. Why are they spending it now? And this is what those people on social media need to look and see, that is what is well, it's political in the sense that it's negative. It is not for the benefit of the people. You are now deciding to spend the money and to spend it frivolously. What's the word I'm looking for? Frivolously is the word.
Yeah, they're spending it. They're spending it in their own political interests and not in the genuine interests of the people.
Correct.
Because if it was being spent in the genuine interests of the occupants of that Bay Garden, they would have done more substantial and fundamental work. Yes, because drainage is still a problem. And I'm not talking about the sea coming into the facility on Monday. I'm talking about drainage when it rains. That is the more fundamental work that ought to have been attended to with the $5 million. But I want to say to you again, Mrs. Weeks, the people don't believe. The people in Barbados, including the people in Oistins, do not believe that $5 million was spent in Oistins. And don't come to me. I don't want the government coming to me and, well, not coming to me, but going to the people and say, oh, you know, THORNE is against it. Even that is contemptuous of people's intelligence. Even that is intended to insult people's intelligence. To go up there and tell them THORNE is against it. When THORNE is saying what the people of Oistins and the people of Barbados are saying, that they don't believe it was $5 million. Perhaps a gallon of paint costs $100,000. And for some reason, most of the paint was red. And for some reason, all the tanks are red. You know, in political science, we call that propaganda, indoctrination. That is how the fascists operate. You work on a man's mind. And when you're not successful with his mind, you know where you go next? Let's not discuss that now. But there's a battle of the mind. There's a battle of the mind.
Yes, and
this government stands condemned for acting in its own political self-interest.
Yes. Well, we have 2 minutes, and what I was told is that there was a meeting today with the boat owners, that the Prime Minister had called a meeting with the boat owners.
Yeah.
And I want to thank people. I want to thank you, Mr. Thorne, for speaking up, because, and this is what I want to take a half a minute to educate Barbadians on the role of the leader of the opposition. He is there. He is there to speak up on behalf of the people. Okay? He is there to speak about what concerns us. His voice is going to go where our voice might not be able to go. And so when he speaks, you understand, we kind of work together. He speaks and we become his echo. We speak and he echo what we're also saying. And so we have to thank him for making this a national issue. And because of that, I believe that's a big part of why that meeting was held today, so that those boat owners in Oistins could get a hearing. Do you understand how important the voice of the leader of the opposition is? Important. And they fear it, I tell you, and they respect it, and they fear it. And I want to thank Mr. Thorne for having the courage to stand up there in that Parliament's car park, and speak up on behalf of the boat owners. Thank you very much. That's why you are there, and that's why the people of Barbados, regardless of the party, come on now, we support the leader of the opposition. He is important for us. He's the only one person there, and we need to support him. Very important. But I'm going to give you the last word, sir. We are finished for tonight, but I can tell you that by the time we get when we come back on this on Friday, we're on this issue again. We're gonna pull this apart again and keep this going until those boat owners are compensated. But go ahead, Mr. Thorne. Welcome. Thank you for being here, and it has been fantastic. And I love that you had the opportunity to be able to show us the pictures, that people see that you're not just getting up and criticizing. This is something you have been working on. It is just that they decided not to pay any mind to what you were doing and not to support you. Not to support you. That's all that was about. And in not supporting you, they did not support the people, the boat owners, the entrepreneurs are now crying tonight. So I want to just allow you to give us your final words for tonight, and as we close.
Marcia, you have spoken for me. You've spoken more eloquently than I can as to the role of an opposition leader, and I want to thank you. I want to urge Barbadians to support the industry that has been crippled. I urge the government to find solutions to the problem. I promise to the government that if this voice is needed in support, they will have it in terms of restoring the industry. Let me end by saying that, let me end by sparing a thought for the other islands who have suffered worse than we have done, and to say that the Democratic Labour Party is a part of the relief effort. I was driving around on Sunday with lots of water in my car. We were hoping to use that for local consumers here, but we are not going to do that now. We have started a relief effort at the LP headquarters on George Street. And I think in a few days, Mr. Andre Worrell will tell us more about that. We've spoken to Captain Lovell from the BDF, and we will be taking donations on sending to the other islands that need to be a part of the relief effort. I think that's a positive way to end, Mrs. Weeks. Let us, although we are in some difficulty here, let us help our brothers in the other islands, and this is a good way to do it. Please join with the effort of the Democratic Labour Party in this relief effort. And if you have something that you want to contribute, you can bring it to George Street, and we will ensure that it gets where it ought to go. And I want to thank you, Marcy. I want to thank you and Dave. I want to apologize for Dave for the fact that I'm such a technological caveman. I had to come on about an hour earlier, but it was worth it. Hearing your Kenyan guest and then the other guest, I'm not sure where he is from, but I apologize. I'm going to get up to date with the technology, but it is good doing this from at home. So thank you very much. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And you know what? Don't be a stranger. The people are saying they need to hear from you more. And I want to make an open invitation as you have topics that you probably need to go in and to speak to the people and to educate and so on, as you did tonight, because this forum allowed for us to see the pictures. And I didn't even know you had those great pictures. So that is So we want to be that. We want to be that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Weeks. Always my pleasure.
Yes. Say hi to your wife and children.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
And you have a good night, and Dave as well. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, I love that. I really enjoyed that conversation. I love to talk to people that are doing something. And I am happy he pulled out those pictures, aren't you? Because that is the kind of proactive that's what we want to see in our leaders, that they're thinking ahead. And you could imagine why he would have been so angry with these boats. What happened to the boats, that you can imagine, because he was working on it and they didn't pay him any mind. Do you understand that? Wow, that's interesting. But I want to thank you all for joining tonight. Again, I want to apologize to Mr. Kazal Franklin, who is a bit tired and getting some rest. And I know that when he comes back on, he'll be all over this issue and more. And I didn't see Kimar tonight. I don't know if he has electricity. I don't know. And we know that we normally would have Glenn Murray on a Wednesday, and he does a great job as well in terms of his preparation, and he wasn't able to do that because he didn't have electricity for a little while. So I want to apologize to everybody for our team, but we're going to be back on Friday. And on Friday, hopefully we can also do a real push for donations. We want to make the show a place where we can come on and we can raise donations. We can, not necessarily financial, but we will be able to get some donations to be shipped to the affected areas. Okay, all right. Everybody, stay safe. We're gonna play our. Somebody said they missed the general. Yes, we do. We missed the general. Let's play some of play our songs before we go off tonight. Where we have to do that. Sleep well, everybody. And when we give God thanks, we can sleep in a warm bed tonight on our pillows, and we had something to eat tonight. And, I just want to thank God for that. And as we thank God, think about what is it that you are going to package to take down tomorrow to the shallow draft or to the church on Friday, or if you want to donate to the DLP who's also sending stuff off. You know where the George Street Auditorium is. You can bring your donations there as well, because they are also donating to relief to the various islands. Okay. Okay, so let's have the music, Mr. Maestro.
Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that it's suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. Barbados is too small for me. My pocket full, now you and job they promise me. And a girl like me want power and more money. You cry transparency, but that's a no for me. Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that it's suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down.
That mass nor English, 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 English. Pretending to be good, I pretending to be good, just pretending to be good. I pretending to be good, I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
Good night, everybody.